Chapter 281. Although Yunjioga had already lost her spiritual power, these three hooligans were still not a problem. She flicked her finger and the colorless and odorless black wind powder floated onto the short, strong man's body. The short, strong man's body trembled and he knelt on the ground in fear. "What did you do to me?" The short, strong man desperately scratched the itch, leaving red marks on his arm, but he did not feel anything. "Nothing, I just gave you some itching powder. If there is no antidote, you will probably die from the itch." Yunjioga said expressionlessly. "Lord," this lowly one had eyes but did not recognize Mount Tai. "Please spare my dog life." The short, strong man was also flexible and immediately begged for mercy while crying. The surrounding people all looked at this and the unfriendly gazes immediately decreased a lot. The Lu sisters were even more speechless. Fighting could use cultivation, but going against a poison master was courting death. Yunjioga saw that the deterrent effect had been achieved, so she flicked her finger and sprinkled the antidote and said, "Scram." "Thank you, Lord." The short, strong man immediately ran away in fear. Yunjioga continued to wait. Some of the more sophisticated people in the surrounding people wanted to come up and greet her, but they were all coldly rejected by her. She came here to secretly learn, so there was no need to be friendly with them. After the time it takes for a stick of incense to burn, a youth wearing a black inner sect disciple robe finally walked out from the inner sect mountain path. He was very handsome and had an amiable smile on his face, making people feel happy at first glance. Yunjioga's heart tightened when she saw this person. Su Junqing. She did not expect him to be in charge of the outer sect disciple test. One must know that accepting a disciple was a very important matter. Even evil cultivator sects would send their most trusted disciple to be in charge. Su Junqing had only been in the Corps sect for a long time, but he was able to take over this kind of work. This meant that he was doing very well here. "Everyone, I am Su Junqing, in charge of this outer sect disciple test. This test topic is bone picking." Su Junqing said a few words, then directly announced the content of the test. The content of the test was very simple. It was to go to the mass grave and find a skeleton that they thought had the most spirituality. The stronger the spirituality of the skeleton they found, the better the treatment they would receive in the sect in the future. Other than corpse control, our Corps sect also has all kinds of puppet techniques. Among them, refining bones is the most common. Bones are the foundation of the human body. First learn the bone refining technique, then you can refine corpses. Picking bones is also a very common practice for Corps sect outer disciples, so everyone must work hard. Su Junqing kindly explained. "Senior, none of us have learned the art of looking at bones. How do we know which skeleton has spirituality?" Lu Tian'er blinked her big watery eyes with a face of ignorance. "I will give you a bone measuring talisman. As long as you stick it on the bones you like, you will be able to test the spirit force contained in the bones. However, this talisman can only be used once, so everyone must be careful when using it." Su Junqing said with a smile. Yunjioga immediately understood the purpose of this test. This was encouraging everyone to snatch their opponent's bone-measuring talismans. The more talismans he snatched, the higher his chances of finding a spiritual skeleton. Even if it was stolen, there was no need to be afraid. Just bring back a random skeleton. If you guessed correctly, it proved that your luck was not bad, that you had good fortune, and that you were worth nurturing. This test was killing many birds with one stone. "Everyone line up and come get your talismans." Su Junqing gave out the bone-measuring talismans one by one. Yunjioga expressionlessly took the bone-measuring talismans, ignoring Su Junqing's glance. When the Lu sisters received the talismans, they faintly gave Su Junqing a flirtatious look. He tacitly accepted it. When everyone received the talismans, they immediately spread out and looked at the people next to them with vigilance and greed in their eyes. "Big sister, the mass grave is very gloomy, I'm scared." Lu Tian'er pulled Lu Mei Er's sleeve and pitifully said, "Don't be afraid, you'll get used to it." Lu Mei Er comforted her little sister, but her face was a bit pale. "Beauties, don't be afraid, I'll protect you." The short man who was drugged by Yunjioga immediately came forward. Then there were a few men who were interested in the Lu sisters, fighting to be the flower protectors. A group of men protected the two sisters, majestically walking towards the mass grave. Yun Jioga looked at them and chose the opposite direction. She had just revealed her poison attack, so no one dared to have any ideas about her talismans. She also had no interest in stealing from others. Yun Jioga directly arrived at the mass grave. Although the sun was still hanging in the sky, the mass grave was filled with Yin energy. Gray fog shrouded the sky, the ground was filled with eerie white bones, and one could even see ghost flames floating in the air. There aren't any spiritual corpses outside, we have to go inside. Xianxia said in Yun Jioga's ear. Then let's go. Yun Jioga just wanted to find a random set of corpses to complete her task. The fog in the depths of the mass grave was even thicker, completely blocking out the sunlight, and a cold and damp air rose from the ground. Yun Jioga was originally a bit afraid of the cold, and now she felt like she was soaking in ice water. She ate 2 warm yang pills, and only then did she feel a bit better. Bear with it a bit more, you'll be fine after you practice the Yin corpse sex cultivation method. Xianxia comforted from the side. Yin corpse sect mainly controlled corpses, but the Yin energy of the corpses was too thick, and the corrosive power was very strong after being together for a long time. Yin corpse sex cultivation method was to convert the Yin energy into spiritual energy, reducing the damage to the body, and it was very suitable for Yun Jioga's current situation. I'm fine. Yun Jioga was used to the cold. What she was not used to was that her dantian was now empty, and without spiritual energy, she could not open her spiritual eye. It was very difficult to find corpses with spiritual energy just by relying on that talisman. It was easy to rely on Xianxia, but Yun Jioga did not want to rely on him until the very last moment, so she decided to try it herself. The white bones on the ground were very messy, and Yun Jioga did not find a complete set of bones after walking 1 round, but she was not willing to dig up the grave. At this moment, the treasure-seeking scorpion suddenly popped out from Xianxia's bag and called out to Yun Jioga, "Master, there's a treasure." "What treasure?" Yun Jioga looked at the treasure-seeking scorpion in surprise and almost forgot about it. "I smell a very fragrant smell." The treasure-seeking scorpion jumped down impatiently. It circled around the mass grave with its fat tail needle and finally stopped in front of a withered old locust tree. The old locust tree was very big, and it needed 3 people to encircle it. The leaves were withered, and the branches were grayish-white as though it was half dead. The treasure-seeking scorpion circled around the old locust tree a few times, and then burrowed into the ground. After a moment, it popped out and said with certainty, "The treasure is underneath. Dig it." Yun Jioga looked at Xianxia. She did not have any spiritual energy and did not have any tools, so she could only rely on Xianxia for this kind of hard work. Xianxia did not refuse and half squatted on the ground and placed his palm under the big locust tree. The brown soil, along with the broken bones, retreated to the side and revealed an incomparably thick grayish-white tree root, which looked like a small coffin. Chapter 282. Xianxia's fingernails extended and cut a hole on the tree root. Gray Yin Qi spewed out and fog filled the air. Yun Jioga waved his palm to get rid of the fog and saw that the Yin Qi in the center of the tree root was as thick as water. A small gray corpse was curled up inside like a baby. It looked like a 3- or 4-year-old child. Although its bones were like a human's, its head was like a monkey's. Profound Yin white bone monkey. Xianxia raised his eyebrows and looked at Yun Jioga in admiration. "You're really lucky. This profound Yin white bone monkey is condensed from extreme Yin energy. If you refine it into a puppet and keep it by your side, it will be extremely beneficial for cultivating the Yin corpse sex cultivation method." Yun Jioga was currently in the outer sect. It was not suitable for a 1,000-year-old corpse like him to appear in front of people. Having a profound Yin white bone monkey puppet by his side would be of great help to him. "Fat Scorpion, good job." Yun Jioga happily rewarded treasure-seeking Scorpion with 2 bottles of cherry pills. This fat Scorpion was always very helpful at crucial times. "Ji. Treasure-seeking scorpion happily hugged the 2 bottles of cherry pills and climbed back into the cloth bag to find his wife. Jioge wanted to stick the bone-testing talisman on the monkey bone but was stopped by Zishang. This talisman has Su Juanqing's divine sense on it. If he finds anything good, he will know immediately. Su Juanqing is really despicable. Testing to become an outer sect disciple and still wants to get some benefits. I look down on him. Jioge muttered as she put away the profound white bone monkey. Then, she randomly found a white skeleton that looked good and stuck the bone-testing talisman on it. The red bone-testing talisman flashed with a faint white light. This meant that although this skeleton contained spiritual energy, it was very little. But no matter what, she had completed her mission. Jioge brought the skeleton back and found that most of the other people had arrived. The Lu sisters stood at the very front. The flower protectors from before had already disappeared. They had probably become part of the mass grave. It seemed that these 2 sisters were not as naive as they looked. They should have some ability. After all, in a place like the Corpse sect, one could not obtain everything by selling one's body. Other than the flower protectors, there were still a dozen or so people missing. Currently, there were only 80 or so people left. The competition between the evil sects was cruel and fierce. Jioge secretly sized up the Lu sisters. He saw that their clothes were clean and they were in high spirits. They didn't look like they had just fought. He didn't know how they had killed those flower protectors. The white bones placed in front of the 2 sisters were very complete. The bones were pure white, and one could tell at a glance that it was rich in spiritual energy. Jioge silently placed the skeleton he had picked up on the table and waited for Su Juanqing to inspect it. After Su Juanqing swept out with his spiritual consciousness, he suddenly felt a little disappointed. Among these skeletons, only the bones brought back by the Lu sisters were filled with spiritual power. The others weren't high-grade goods. He had heard that there was a senior who was in charge of this test, and a disciple found a skeleton with profound spiritual power. Later, it was discovered that the disciple was born with dark pupils. That senior martial brother not only picked a good seedling for his mountain peak, but also obtained a good skeleton. It was really a big profit. He had heard of this matter, so he asked Elder Mo Hua for this task. He didn't expect that the harvest this time was really not that good. When Su Juanqing thought of this, he couldn't help but glance at the Lu sisters and Jioge. He thought to himself, this pair of sisters is not bad, I can develop them. And that youth called Jio, Elder Mo Hua should like this kind of appearance. Unfortunately, he's too young and looks like a virgin. He probably won't be able to satisfy Elder Mo Hua's desires. It's better to nurture him first. Jioge stood on the spot expressionlessly. Although Su Juanqing's pimping gaze was hidden, she still noticed it. If it wasn't for the fact that the situation wasn't right, she really wanted to rush up and break his teeth so that she could interrogate him about Yunji's whereabouts. Calm down. Zishang's voice came from beside her. This Corpse sect was after all a big evil sect. If she gave herself away, she could forget about staying here. Jioge was also very clear about this. She lowered her face and didn't look at Su Juanqing anymore. The skeletons that everyone picked are not bad. The most outstanding are the 2 Lu sisters, and next is Jio's. After Su Juanqing made his evaluation, he put all the skeletons into his own pocket. These talismans were all provided by the sect, so the spoils of war naturally belonged to the sect as well. It could be considered as one of the benefits for the disciples in charge of recruiting. The Lu sisters were ranked first, so they received a bottle of energy pills as a reward. Jioge received half a bottle and the rest were counted by pills. After the rewards were distributed, many people's gazes turned to the Lu sisters and Jioge. They were filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. Jioge chose to ignore them. After the Lu sisters thanked Su Juanqing sweetly, they surrounded him and asked all sorts of questions to get close to him. It could be seen that Su Juanqing was very fond of the 2 sisters. His smile was especially gentle and amiable. However, he was here to receive the outer sect disciples after all, so he didn't stick to the Lu sisters for too long. Soon, he talked about official business again. Congratulations on becoming the outer sect disciples of our In Corpse sect. This is your identity token. Everyone, drip your blood on it and make it your master later. Make sure to keep it safe. This not only represents your identity, but it will also be very useful in the future. Later, everyone will follow the map on this booklet and go to the logistics department to receive your benefits before finding a place to stay. Su Junqing gave everyone a palm-sized gray token and a yellow booklet. After saying a few words of encouragement, he left. Yun Jioga let out a sigh of relief. This test was easier than she had imagined. It was all thanks to In Shirley. Yun Jioga opened the booklet and carefully looked through it. She had a preliminary understanding of the In Corpse sect's situation. The In Corpse sect was built on a mountain range filled with In energy. It extended for dozens of miles. The inner sect was divided into 4 mountain peaks. Other than the main peak, the In Corpse peak, which was occupied by the sect master, the 3 elders each stood on a mountain peak. They were respectively Elder Cho Sen's enemy peak, Elder Inkflower's Inkflower peak, Elder Whitebone's Whitebone peak. The outer sect had 6 small mountain peaks. The main peak was where the Skill Teaching Hall, Mission Hall, Medicinal Pill Pavilion, and Weapon Refining Pavilion were located. The other 5 mountain peaks each had 1,000 disciples. They were arranged according to their numbers. Yun Jioga was assigned to the 2nd mountain peak. She followed the map on the booklet to the 2nd mountain peak where the logistics department was distributed. She received the standard of an inner sect disciple. The In Corpse sect was worthy of being a large sect. Every disciple had a red storage bag, a set of gray disciple robes. There were 2 runes embroidered on the door, cleaning and deodorizing. A low-grade 1 whitebone spike. A low-grade 1 corpse control bell. A basic entry cultivation technique. The storage bag space was very small. It was only the size of a cabinet, but it was already very good for a new disciple. The whitebone spikes were 2 wide and 3 feet long. They were sharp and could be considered a good weapon. The corpse control bell was gray. Compared to the blood chi bell of the bloodthirsty ancestor, it was simply trash. It could just barely control the whitebone spikes. It was still a bit difficult to use it to control corpses. Chapter 283. Yun Jioga took the things and went to the small bungalow that the outer sect disciples lived in. The bungalow was quite big, but there were only old tables and chairs and a moldy smell. Yun Jioga was quite satisfied with this. She was worried that she would have to share a room with a group of male disciples. Coincidentally, the Lu sisters lived next to Yun Jioga and they even squeezed into the same bungalow. At this moment, the door of their room was closed and there was no sound. Who knew what they were doing inside? What's with that look? It's like a pervert who covets beauties. Zishang teased Yun Jioga. Tisich, if sister wants to covet someone, it's a pretty boy, okay? Yun Jioga retracted her gaze from the Lu sisters' door. Pretty boy, are you talking about that? Zishang's gaze floated to the right. A fat boy walked out of the bungalow on the right. He wore the outer sect disciples' gray robes tightly and his body was round like a ball. May I ask for senior brother's name? My name is Jean Lin. We will be neighbors in the future. Please give me some pointers, senior brother. Little fatty Jean Lin grinned. There were 2 deep dimples on his chubby face, making him look very likable. Yun Jioga ignored little fatty's greeting and closed the door with a bang. You're too rude. Zishang noticed that Yun Jioga was becoming more and more antisocial after being poisoned. If you're polite, then go greet him. Yun Jioga's image was cold and antisocial, rejecting all the In Corpse sect disciples' attempts to rope him in. Zishang was speechless. Not to mention that he couldn't show himself. Even if he did, he would be an expressionless living corpse that couldn't speak. Greeting him was impossible. Oh right, during the outer sect test, I don't think I saw this little fatty. Yun Jioga asked Zishang. She knew that Zishang was very good at recognizing people and never relied on looks. Indeed not. Zishang nodded. So he was selected from the outside? Yun Jioga thought about the people that filled the mountains and valleys to register. This little fatty was able to pass the selection so quickly. It seemed like he wasn't a normal person. There was one more person worth paying attention to. Don't think about those useless things. The most important thing now is to cultivate. Xianxia urged. Yunjioge took out the outer sect disciple cultivation technique and started studying it with Xianxia. The division of cultivation in a large sect was different from that of a spiritualist. According to the density of their spiritual energy, they were divided into the qi refining stage, the foundation establishment stage, the golden core stage, the nascent soul stage, and the soul formation stage. The corresponding realms of a spiritualist were a rudimentary spiritualist, 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 and spiritualist. There were 10 stages in the qi refinement stage, and once one reached the peak of the qi refinement stage, one would have the opportunity to become an inner disciple. Once they entered the foundation establishment stage, they would become elite disciples. If he could form his gold core, that would be awesome. He could totally become an elder. As for nascent soul cultivators and soul formation cultivators, they were all old monsters. They rarely stayed in the faction. They would go to the spiritual city, which was a higher level, to find great opportunities. Xianxia carefully examined the technique and said, "There's no problem with this technique. You can practice it." Although this outer sect Yin technique could not compare to the core cultivation technique, the Yin corpse bone controlling technique, it was just right for Yunjioge. "Then I'll start practicing." Yunjioge took out the bottle of Yin energy pills that Su Junqing had just rewarded her. Although this bottle of Yin energy pills was of low grade, she didn't have any suitable Yin energy pills on hand, so she could only make do with it. "Practice it. I'll help you guard," Xianxia said. Yunjioge swallowed a Yin energy pill and sat cross-legged on the bed. She began to circulate and absorb the Yin energy according to the technique. Wisps of gray Yin energy rose from her dantian. It guided the poisonous gas from the 9 broken bones to circulate in her body. It felt like ants were crawling over her. It was an indescribable sour feeling. This was the slightest reaction from the poisonous gas. If she couldn't even endure this, she could forget about expelling the poisonous gas. Yunjioge gritted her teeth and persevered. When she finished, she was already sweating profusely and smelled sour. "How do you feel?" Xianxia held a red paper doll in his hand and asked with concern. "What is this?" Yunjioge looked at the lifelike red paper doll in Xianxia's hand. Its small hands and feet were still struggling. "It's just a little bug that wants to get some information." This method of using Yin energy to control the paper doll was a kind of crafty technique. In the territory of the evil sects and demonic sects, it was not strange for someone to know this method. "Let me see." Yunjioge stretched out her hand. Xianxia handed the red paper doll over. Yunjioge touched it and felt that the red paper doll was wet and cold. It was especially disgusting. She immediately stuffed it back to Xianxia. "Is it the Lu sisters or that little fatty?" The two of them lived next door. They were the most likely to come to investigate. "It should be the Lu sisters." Xianxia deduced based on the direction the red paper doll came from. "You really do have some skills." She knew that the Lu sisters were not as simple as they seemed. It doesn't matter if you have 8 skills. Hurry up and train your corpse control technique to the first level, then learn the puppet technique. Xianxia rubbed his fingers and the red paper doll was burned to ashes. He was prepared to personally refine the mystic Yin skeleton monkey. However, if Yunjioge wanted to take it back for her own use, she still had to learn the puppet technique. "How do you even know how to refine puppets?" Yunjioge couldn't help but admire Xianxia. Although this guy often pretended to be weak, it felt like nothing could stump him. Who asked this sovereign to be a 1,000-years-old teacher? Xianxia smiled. The longer he lived, the more he knew. "You really are addicted to being wet." Yunjioge rolled her eyes. "Tonight, you will know how powerful this old teacher is." Xianxia winked ambiguously. Because it was not convenient to do it in the Yin Corpse sect, they only did it once every 3 days. The process was also very fast. It was just to prevent Yunjioge's dantian from exploding. Scram! Yunjioge didn't want to tease him. She took out the corpse control bell and prepared to test the white bone thorn. The great Tao of the world was the same. Controlling the corpse control bell was similar to controlling the lightning snake illusionary whip. Yun-Jyoga quickly infused spirit energy into the corpse control bell. Then she shook the bell. The runes on the white bone thorn lit up and slowly rose into the sky. Go! Yun-Jyoga pointed at the broken table. The white bone thorn turned into a stream of light and pierced through, leaving a round hole on the wooden table. Although its power was far inferior to the lightning snake illusionary whip, it was still passable. Yun-Jyoga controlled the white bone thorn to fly up and down the house a few times. Only when the yin qi in her body was completely exhausted did she stop and continue to cultivate. After Yun-Jyoga finished the half bottle of yin qi pills, her outer sex yin qi finally reached the first level of qi refinement. She could be considered to have successfully entered the ranks of cultivators. Under Zi Shang's urging, Yun-Jyoga went to the main peak's technique inheritance pavilion to ask about the puppet technique. The main peak was bustling with people coming and going. The technique inheritance pavilion was built in a very imposing manner. The stone door was 10 meters tall. It was very spacious inside, but it was not open to disciples. There was only a small window in the middle. A gray elder sat behind the window. Chapter 284. Senior, I want to learn the puppet method. What are the conditions? Yun-Jyoga asked the old man. The old man lifted his eyelids and glanced at Yun-Jyoga before replying indifferently, 300 contribution points. So many contribution points. Yun-Jyoga was speechless. The Yin Corpse sect did not accept spirit jades or spirit stones. If one wanted to learn cultivation techniques or exchange for pills, they all needed contribution points. Yun-Jyoga and the other outer sect disciples could stay for half a month for free. But after the free period ended, they had to pay 30 contribution points every month, otherwise they would be stripped of their disciple status and sent to the mass grave. These contribution points could be bought with spirit jades, 1 spirit jade for 1 contribution point. Although Yun-Jyoga could take out 300 spirit jades, it was too conspicuous, no disciple would do it. Other than buying with spirit jades, they could also do sect missions to exchange for it. This was more in line with the needs of the disciples, and it was also a mutually beneficial thing for the sect. Yun-Jyoga did not have contribution points, so she could only earn it. She thanked the gray-robed old man and went to the mission hall. The mission hall was bigger than the technique teaching pavilion. It was filled with outer sect disciples, each choosing a mission. Yun-Jyoga had good eyesight. She could clearly see the situation inside. The mission hall had a total of 13 pillars, on top of which were densely packed mission lists. From left to right, it was low-level, middle-level, and high-level missions. The lowest-level missions were helping to clean the graveyard, picking up bones to wash bones, patrolling. These were all manual labor, and the rewards were very low. The middle-level missions had high rewards, but the requirements were very high, and there was a certain amount of risk. The high-level missions required one to be at refining rank 5. With Yun-Jyoga's current cultivation, she could not even go take a look. Yun-Jyoga walked around the mission hall. She found that it was not easy to earn 30 contribution points every month. Those jobs that were not life-threatening were very tedious. After completing them, there was no time to cultivate. Even if one could survive in the outer sect, if one's cultivation did not improve, one would only be bullied. The missions with high rewards were also dangerous. For example, there was a middle-level mission to kill Yin ghosts to collect Yin Qi. Each bottle of Yin Qi could be exchanged for 10 contribution points. If one's cultivation was not enough, they could only become food for the Yin ghosts. How about this mission? Yun-Jyoga wanted to take the mission to kill Yin ghosts. Whether it was refining pills or refining corpses, the Yin Corpse sect required a large amount of Yin energy. Therefore, this task of killing Yin ghosts and collecting Yin Qi was available every day, and it was also a task that outer disciples liked to do. It's too conspicuous for you to accept this mission right after advancing. Start with the lowest level mission and advance step by step. Zi Shang wanted to let Yun-Jyoga familiarize himself with the Yin Corpse sect situation. All right. Yunjioga accepted all the low-level quests on the quest list. Every day after she finished practicing, she would clean up the graveyard, pick up the bones, mop the ground, and clean the whole mountain. Although it was exhausting, he quickly familiarized himself with the In Corpse sect's situation. She realized that not all of these outer sect disciples were evil people. The reason why they joined the In Corpse sect was because they grew up in the territory of the Devil sect. It couldn't be helped. You grew up in the territory of the Demon sect. If you ran to a righteous sect, they wouldn't dare to put you in an important position. Yunjioga finally understood why Zishang had asked him to change his name and gender to go to the Dabi Mountains. Only by removing all traces of the past could he integrate into the In Corpse sect. Yunjioga spent a month to finish all the low-level quests and finally earned 300 contribution points. She also successfully entered the second layer of Qi condensation. She once again went to the Technique Inheritance Pavilion and used contribution points to exchange for a puppet cultivation method. Then she returned to the cottage with Zishang and prepared to refine the profound In White Bone Monkey. The most important part of refining the profound In White Bone Monkey was to create a talisman liquid with spiritual power. This talisman liquid required many materials, among which the corpse stargrass was the most important. Fortunately, Yunjioga had prepared a large amount of In attribute materials before coming to the In Corpse sect, including the corpse stargrass. Zishang crushed the corpse stargrass and added Yunjioga's blood essence to create a solvent. Then he dipped his index finger in the talisman liquid and drew a talisman on the white bone monkey. The red blood talisman quickly seeped into the white bones and the originally lifeless skeleton gained a trace of spiritual energy. When the puppet was about to be refined, Zishang suddenly stopped and drew a formation on the ground. "What are you doing?" Although Yunjioga wasn't familiar with formations, she could tell that Zishang was drawing a soul-spiking formation. "This broken house is too simple. I'm afraid that after the white bone monkey is formed, its spiritual energy will leak out and be discovered." Zishang replied without raising his head. "Is it that exaggerated?" Yunjioga didn't think much of it. Wasn't it just a puppet? Could it be refined into a divine weapon? After Zishang finished drawing the formation, he continued to draw talismans for the profound In White Bone Monkey. When he finished drawing the last blood talisman, a cold wind suddenly blew in the house. The surrounding tables, chairs, and beds were all blown to pieces. Yunjioga's hair danced wildly and her clothes were blown up by the cold wind. Fortunately, the cold wind only blew within the circle that Zishang had drawn. If it had blown to the roof, the tiles on it would have been blown away. As the cold wind blew, the monkey's skull in the circle suddenly emitted 2 bean-sized flames. Following that, a cracking sound could be heard. The small white bone monkey stood up from the ground. Its head was big and its body was small, just like a bean sprout. The huge head looked left and right and finally came in front of Yunjioga and stared at her blankly. The white bone monkey's red eyes looked quite horrifying. Crack crack. The small white bone monkey's mouth moved up and down, as if it was talking to Yunjioga. Unfortunately, Yunjioga only understood the beast language and not the ghost language. Although she didn't understand the ghost language, she could vaguely feel that this small white bone monkey was begging her to protect it. "TSK, it really became a spirit. Right now, your spiritual sense is too weak and you still can't control it well. But once you cultivate it, there won't be a problem." Zishang's white jade-like forehead was dripping with sweat and his handsome face had a trace of exhaustion. It could be seen that refining this profound In White Bone Monkey was not easy. "Are you all right?" Yunjioga took out a handkerchief to wipe Zishang's sweat. "I'm fine." Zishang shook his head and pointed at the profound In White Bone Monkey. "Keep it first. There's no place to put it." Although this white bone monkey was small, her broken storage bag couldn't fit it. "Just let it disperse." Zishang ordered the white bone monkey, "Disperse." The profound In White Bone Monkey automatically disintegrated, turning into a pile of bones that were neatly stacked. A small bag was enough to keep it. "It's really convenient." Yunjioga stuffed the small bag into her storage bag. "Could be said to be perfect. Since you've already advanced, then go and accept the mission to kill the In ghost." Zishang felt that Yunjioge was already mature enough. It was time to train. Building a car behind closed doors was not a solution. One had to learn and use it, turning the Yin skill into combat power. Most importantly, this Yin Qi was of great use to them. Chapter 285. Alone. With Yunjioge's current cultivation level, it would be dangerous for her to go to the Yin Qi graveyard alone. It's fine. Just bring the Xian Yin white bone monkey with you. Zishang would not let Yunjioge take the risk. Will the little monkey do? The white bone monkey's arms and legs were as thin as reeds. It would be lucky if the Yin ghosts did not break them apart. Don't underestimate it. It's much more powerful than you. How could a puppet that he had personally refined be weak? I hope so. Since Zishang had said so, Yunjioge obediently went to the mission hall to accept the mission to kill the Yin ghosts. She did not expect that the disciple on duty at the mission hall today would be Yunjioge's neighbor, little fatty Wang Lin. Yunjioge looked at little fatty again. To be on duty at the mission hall, one must have a backer or connections. This little fatty was not simple. Senior Yunjio, have you found a team to kill the Yin ghosts? Do you want me to introduce you to a reliable team? Little fatty took Yunjioge's mission list and asked enthusiastically. No need. Yunjioge coldly refused. Little fatty was not angry. He helped her register her information and gave her the token to enter the Yin ghost graveyard. He asked, do you want to rent or buy the Yin Qi bottle? How much does it cost to rent and how much does it cost to buy? Yunjioge knew that Yin Qi bottles were needed to kill the Yin ghosts, but she did not know much about the market. A rank 1 Yin Qi bottle can hold 100 Yin ghosts. It costs 1 contribution point for 3 days to rent. It costs 50 contribution points for 1. If you can afford it, it's better to buy 1, little fatty explained carefully. I'll buy 1. Yunjioge's next mission was to kill the Yin ghosts. It was indeed better to buy 1. Then take it. After little fatty took 50 contribution points from Yunjioge's token, he swiftly packed a Yin Qi bottle and gave it 2 death talismans. This is an internal benefit. Next time, you can come to me when you want to buy something. You'll get a discount. Little fatty said with a smile. Yunjioge did not say anything. She took the items and left. The Yin Qi bottle was pure white. It was about the same size as the vases used to arrange flowers. The only difference was that the bottle had a red Yin gathering and spirit rune engraved on it. It's so expensive to inscribe a rune. If I had known, I would have asked you to make one for me, Yunjioge muttered. However, she was only joking. It would be too eye-catching if she really took out a bottle of Yin energy that she had made herself. I told you to learn talisman patterns, but you refused. Zishang took the opportunity to lecture him. I'm so tired from training every day. How could I learn so much? Yunjioge was not very talented when it came to runes. She looked at the wavy lines that resembled tadpoles and naturally lost interest in them. Zishang couldn't do anything about it. Talent was a mysterious thing. Before Yunjioge was enlightened, it would be very difficult for her to learn runes. He did not want to force her. He would take it one step at a time. The entrance to the Yin energy graveyard was a pair of large stone doors that opened every hour. Yunjioge thought that she had arrived very early. She did not expect that there were already 8 disciples standing at the door. It looked like they were in a group. Although they were all dressed in gray, these outer sect disciples were obviously veterans. The leader was a tall, skinny man with triangular eyes and broom-like eyebrows. He was at the 3rd level of the Qi refining stage and was obviously not a good person. When he saw Yunjioge, broom-like eyebrows looked her up and down. He laughed contemptuously and said, "Young man, you've got guts. You're only at the 2nd level of the Qi refining stage, but you dare to come to the Yin Qi graveyard alone?" Yunjioge did not even look at him. She stood in a corner and waited for the Yin Qi graveyard to open. "Young man, you're really something." Broom-like eyebrows was about to come over to pick a fight with Yunjioge when another group of disciples appeared in the distance. There were a total of 13 of them. The Lu sisters were among them. The 2 sisters had already advanced to the 2nd level of the Qi refining stage. Although they were also wearing gray robes, they had altered the waists, collars, and cuffs of their robes, making their bodies look even more voluptuous. The two sisters were beautiful and knew how to act coquettishly. It was no wonder that they were able to get close to the senior disciples so quickly. When Broom-like Eyebrows saw this group of people, his face immediately darkened. He did not bother to look for trouble with Yunjioga anymore. Broom-like Eyebrows Chin, you've brought your brothers here again. The leader of this group was a short man who looked like Tu Xingxuan. He had a big face, small eyes, and thick lips. He was extremely ugly. Although this short man was ugly, he was already at the 4th level of the qi refining stage. He had the highest cultivation level among the two groups of people. Broom-like Eyebrows Chen ignored the short man and whistled at the Lu sisters. He smiled lecherously and said, "Sisters, Short Chiu is only good-looking, but he's useless. I'm afraid that he won't be able to satisfy you. Why don't you join us? I guarantee that you'll have a good time." When the Lu sisters were teased, they looked embarrassed, aggrieved, and uneasy. Short Chiu's heart ached when he saw this. He immediately pointed at Broom-like Eyebrows Chin and shouted, "Looks like I didn't teach you a lesson last time. You still want to talk dirty? Do you think I won't kill you? I'm talking to the sisters. Why are you in such a hurry? You haven't gotten your hands on the sisters yet, right? Otherwise, why would you bring them here to show off?" Broom-like Eyebrows Chin chuckled. Broom-like Eyebrows Chen's words stabbed right into Shorty Chio's heart. He had been trying to please the sisters recently, but he had not made any progress other than touching their hands. He wanted to force himself on them, but the sisters were smarter. He had not found the opportunity to do so yet. This time, the sisters had asked him to help them with the mission to kill the Yin ghosts. They had also promised to reward him after the mission was completed. Hence, he had ignored the objections of his brothers and forced the sisters into the group. The Lu sisters noticed that Shorty Chio's expression was not good. They turned around and saw Yun Jioga standing in the corner. Lu Tian'er's eyes lit up. She shouted, "Isn't this Senior Yun Jio?" Senior Yun Jio, the Yin ghosts in the Yin Qi graveyard appear in groups. It's too dangerous for you to go in alone. Why don't you team up with us? Lu Mei-er immediately said with concern. That's right. Lu Tian'er pulled on Short Chio and said coquettishly, "Senior Chio, can you help Senior Yun Jio?" Short Chio was put in a difficult position. He did not dare to agree. The Yin Qi graveyard was filled with danger. His subordinates were already unhappy that he had brought two new girls along to take advantage of the situation. If he brought another rookie with him, he would only be a burden to the group. At that moment, the Yin Qi graveyard creaked. Two gigantic stone doors opened, and a cold and gloomy aura drifted out. Yun Jioga acted as if she had not heard the Lu sisters' invitation. She walked straight in with the token in her hand. Short Chio heaved a sigh of relief. He smiled and said, "This guy really doesn't know how to appreciate our kindness. Let's not bother with him. Let's go." "Yes," the Lu sisters replied sweetly. They then followed Short Chio and the others into the graveyard. Tisk! Broom-like Eyebrows Chin snorted coldly and followed them in. Chapter 286. Yun Jioga stood in a small open space, looking at the Yin Qi cemetery in the distance, only to see a vast expanse of gray, faintly seeing withered trees everywhere, countless Yin ghosts hiding behind the withered branches, eerily staring at the entrance of the cemetery. These Yin ghosts do not have their own consciousness, only have an instinctive desire for the vitality of living people. As long as they smell the vitality of living people, they will immediately swarm over like sharks, smelling the scent of blood, devouring the person clean. Yin Corpse Sect Outer Sect disciples enter the Yin Qi cemetery in a team of at least 8 people. 2 are responsible for defense, 3 are responsible for killing Yin ghosts, and 2 are responsible for collecting the Yin Qi of Yin ghosts after they die. For someone like Yun Jioga to come in alone is no different from courting death. At this time, Yun Jioga is still in the safe area. As long as she steps into the Yin Qi cemetery, countless Yin ghosts will instantly swarm over until she is drowned. Seeing that there is no one around, Yunjioga released the profound white bone monkey puppet. The scattered white bones formed the shape of a small monkey. The white bone monkey's soul fire is ignited. It opened its mouth and spat out a gray light towards Yunjioga. Yunjioga carefully walked into the Inchi cemetery, only to find that the ghosts did not see her, as if they are blind. What's going on? Yunjioga asked Zishang in surprise. This profound white bone monkey is formed from the Inchi of heaven and earth. Its aura can cover up your living aura. That is why he said that this white bone monkey is a good helper for cultivating demonic techniques. So awesome! Yunjioga's eyes lit up and immediately ordered the white bone monkey, "Go, kill them all." After saying that, he took out the Inchi bottle, ready to enjoy the fruits of others' labor. The little skeleton monkey shook its big head and took a step forward. Then, it opened its big mouth and sucked in with all its might. Those ghosts screamed as they were pulled into its mouth, and then disappeared. Disappeared? Yunjioga holding the Inchi bottle was dumbfounded. This sovereign said it is very powerful. Zishang was still proud at the side. Powerful my ass. Where is the little helper? It ate all the ghosts. What do I use to exchange for contribution points? Yunjioga said angrily. There's nothing I can do about it. This energy is the food of the profound white skeleton monkey. If it doesn't eat, it will be extremely hungry. If you want energy, you can only work hard. Zishang shrugged and had a helpless expression. In fact, he had deliberately refined it like this. If Yunjioga could obtain Qi so easily, there would be no need to talk about cultivation. Yunjioga could only take out the corpse control bell to control the bone spurs to kill the evil ghosts when he saw the little white skeleton monkey eating happily. In the beginning, she was not very proficient, but after the time it took for an incense stick to burn, she was able to control the white bone spike very nimbly, killing with one strike. Yunjioga killed more than 10 ghosts and collected them all in the Inchi bottle. Rest for a while. Zishang reminded Yunjioga when he saw that the spiritual power in his body was almost depleted. Although Yunjioga could use the aura of the mysterious white skeleton monkey to avoid the eyes and ears of low-level ghosts, it was not a wise move to exhaust his spiritual power. Well, there aren't many ghosts here. Let's go somewhere else. Yunjioga put away the Inchi bottle and planned to investigate the environment of the Inchi cemetery. She could only go so smoothly with the help of the mysterious white skeleton monkey. But it was not possible to do this every time. Understanding the situation here would give her one more way out. Okay. Zishang held Yunjioga's hand and strolled in the gloomy cemetery. Behind the two of them was a short mysterious white skeleton monkey. It was indescribably strange. Help! At this time, a panicked cry for help and a strange ghost howl came from the depths of the fog. It's a rank 2 ghost. Zishang could tell the level of the ghost howl. This is still the outer area. How can there be a rank 2 ghost? Yunjioga suddenly felt strange. A rank 2 ghost in the cemetery was equivalent to a level 5 Qi training. It only appeared in the inner area. The token of the outer disciples could only move around the outer area of the Inchi cemetery. They could not enter the inner dangerous area. Probably some unlucky ghost encountered it. Zishang replied coldly. Let's go take a look. Yunjioga sneakily walked over, then secretly squatted behind a withered tree and peeked. He saw that the rank 2 ghost's soul body was dense, it was dark gray, its head vaguely had a hideous shape, its speed was extremely fast, it was impossible to guard against. Other than this rank 2 ghost, there were many rank 1 ghosts gathered around. They were obviously under its control. High-level ghosts had control over low-level ghosts. The originally scattered and disorderly ghosts were now stopped and attacked. It was also very difficult to deal with. The ones being attacked by the rank 2 ghost were Shorty Chio's group. Before, there were 10 of them, but now there were only 3. It was unknown if they were killed by the ghost, or if they were separated when escaping. Shorty Chio's group was followed by a white skeleton puppet. Unfortunately, their puppet's movements were very stiff. It was not a match for the rank 2 ghost. Old Chio, we can't. This Yin ghost is too difficult to deal with. A skinny man shouted. Then let's retreat. Old Chiu shouted. If we retreat like this, they will definitely split us up. We need someone to be the bait. The skinny man said. Needless to say, this bait definitely had no way out. When Yun Jioga heard this, he immediately frowned. These evil cultivators were indeed different. They were willing to sacrifice their companions openly. Looking at their group, the injured disciple's white skeleton puppet was tightly protecting him. It did not look like it was willing to die. The only ones who did not have a white skeleton puppet protecting them were the Lu sisters. The sisters shook the corpse control bell, each controlling a white bone spike to attack the low-level Yin ghost. The two of them cooperated very well, killing many low-level Yin ghosts. Hearing the conversation between Shorty Chiu and the others, they roughly knew that the situation was not right. They gradually pulled away from Shorty Chiu's group. Little beauty, the situation is special now. I can only wrong you. Although Shorty Chiu was lustful, he knew that if he protected the two little beauties at this time, his subordinates would definitely rebel against him. He could find beauties at any time, but he could not lose his position as the boss. Big brother Chiu, what are you talking about? Little sister is more than happy to be able to serve everyone. Lu Mei Er did not seem to understand that Shorty Chiu wanted to send the sisters to their deaths. She still smiled and replied. Little beauty is really good. If it wasn't because this rank 2 Yin ghost is too hard to deal with, Big Brother would also be reluctant to leave you. Shorty Chiu felt that it was a pity. Originally, he thought that after completing today's mission, he could bring them back to enjoy the blessings of beauties. If he knew it would be like this, he would have raped the two sisters before coming out. That's right, little sister would also be reluctant to leave you guys. Lu Mei Er sighed. A mocking smile appeared on her beautiful face. Shorty Chiu and the others have been cursed by the Lu sisters. Zi Shang suddenly whispered into Yun Jioga's ear. Chapter 287. Where did they curse Shorty Chiu? Yun Jioga found it troublesome not being able to open her spirit eye. It was like being blind. See for yourself. A gray light flashed from Zi Shang's finger and landed on Yun Jioga's forehead. The space between her eyebrows heated up, and her vision turned gray. The Yin ghost was dark gray while the Lu sisters were faint yellow. That was the color of earth spirit roots. Shorty Chiu and the other two all had black water spirit roots, but strangely, there was a red paper doll stuck on their backs. Lu Tianer, who had been silent, was secretly forming seals to control the movements of the red paper dolls. The red paper doll raised its arm and Shorty Chiu and the other two rushed towards the rank 2 Yin ghost. Lu Tianer took the chance to shout, "Go!" The two sisters immediately kept their bone spikes and ran. "Bitch, you dare to harm us!" Shorty Chiu was furious. He was trying to take advantage of them on the road, and the two sisters tried all kinds of ways to reject him. So they were trying to do something to him. Unfortunately, it was too late now. The rank 2 Yin ghost saw food and came to them automatically. There was no reason for it not to eat. It immediately led the Yin ghost forward and wrapped Shorty Chiu and the other two into a gray ball. Then it opened its gray mouth and wrapped Shorty Chiu's head. Shorty Chiu and the other two lost their life force quickly, and they quickly turned into dried corpses that turned into dust. This was the cruelty of Yin corpse sect. There were countless of disciples dying here every day. After the rank 2 Yin ghost swallowed Shorty Chiu and the other two, it continued to chase after the Lu sisters. Yun Jioga followed without hesitation. She planned to wait for the rank 2 Yin ghost to get rid of the Lu sisters before trying to spar with the rank 2 Yin ghost to see how good she was. The Lu sisters did not say a word and ran for their lives. Originally, they cursed Shorty Chiu because they wanted to hypnotize him when he was begging for sex. They did not expect to encounter the attack of the rank 2 Yin ghost. "Sister, the rank 2 Yin ghost is catching up." Lu Tiana quickly took out her white bone spike. She did not expect Shorty Chiu and the other two to be so useless that they could not even stop a rank 2 Yin ghost. Fight! Lu Mei Er saw that she could not escape, so she stopped and fought alongside her sister. The corpse-controlling bell let out a ringing sound. 2 white bone spikes flew out of the inventory bag. The two sisters could only control one white bone spike each in front of Shorty Chiu earlier. Now they could control 2 white bone spikes each. It was obvious that they had hidden their strength. 4 white bone spikes simultaneously pierced towards the level 2 In Ghost. The level 2 In Ghost was very cunning. It hid behind the low-level In Ghost and did not confront the two sisters head-on. I didn't expect these two sisters to be so loyal. Yun Jioga had originally thought that the sisters would flee for their lives in the face of disaster. He never expected that they would fight side by side. At that moment, Zishang suddenly said to Yun Jioga, "There's something strange about these two sisters." "What's strange?" Why couldn't she see it? That Lu Tianer's physique is very special. You can't see it because she used a secret technique to conceal it. This technique is not bad. As Zishang spoke, he suddenly flicked his finger and sent a stream of demonic power towards the level 2 In Ghost. The level 2 In Ghost was originally hiding behind the low-level In Ghosts, ready to attack at any time. Once it was stimulated by Zishang's demonic power, it immediately charged forward as if it had been injected with chicken blood, instantly breaking through the sisters' blockade. "I'll cover you, you leave quickly." Lu Mei immediately blocked in front of Lu Tian. The 2 white bone spikes shone brightly and turned into a meteor that pierced towards the level 2 In Ghost. Unexpectedly, the level 2 In Ghost did not dodge. After taking the 2 white bone spikes head-on, its gray arms suddenly expanded and hit Lu Mei's chest. Lu Mei staggered back 2 steps. A trace of blood seeped out from the corner of her mouth. Her face was instantly shrouded in a layer of gray qi. That was the symptom of cold yin qi entering her body. "Sister." Seeing that her sister was injured, Lu Tianer was so anxious that her eyes turned red. She gritted her teeth and took out a red paper doll from her storage bag. This red paper doll was very exquisitely cut. Its facial features were vivid and lifelike. It was simply a carving of Lu Tianer. Lu Tianer slapped the red paper doll onto her chest, and her eyes instantly turned red. Her hair stood up, and her nails grew like sharp black blades. The level 2 In Ghost was quite afraid of the transformed Lu Tianer. It immediately summoned a low-level In Ghost to block in front of it. Lu Tianer rushed forward. With a wave of her nails, she tore the low-level In Ghost to pieces. Then she fought with the level 2 In Ghost. Unexpectedly, they were evenly matched. 9 Yudao body. Zishang's gray eyes flashed with surprise. This Lu Tianer's physique was completely out of his expectations. 9 Yudao body? Isn't that the most suitable body for refining Yin corpses? Yun Jioga was also shocked. This Lu Tianer herself has the 9 Yudao body. She actually came to the Yin corpse sect to cultivate the Yin corpse bone-controlling art. Isn't this the same as turning herself into a living corpse? Does Lu Tianer not know that I have the 9 Yudao body? But looking at the way she cursed me, it was clear that she knew about my special physique. Moreover, she was using it very well. While Yun Jioga was still in shock, Lu Tianer gradually fell into a disadvantage against the level 2 In Ghost. After Lu Mei suppressed the death energy in her body, she immediately shook the corpse-controlling bell and shouted, "Don't fight it head-on. Its weakness is its head." Under her sister's command, Lu Tianer's attacks immediately became more flexible. Every move she made was aimed at the head of the level 2 In Ghost. With Lu Mei's cooperation, the two sisters actually succeeded in taking out the soul crystal in the head of the level 2 In Ghost. Without the soul crystal, the level 2 In Ghost immediately turned into a cloud of dense Yin Qi. Lu Mei controlled the Yin Qi bottle and the cloud of Yin Qi flew into the bottle. Lu Mei put away the Yin Qi bottle and took out 2 gray Death Qi talismans. This Death Qi talisman could temporarily isolate the body's vitality. However, the time was very short. It was not enough time to leave the Yin Qi cemetery, so it was not very effective. Lu Mei put the Yin Qi talisman on herself and Lu Tian. Then she pulled off the red paper man that had already lost its luster from Lu Tianer's chest. Lu Tianer's red eyes returned to their original state, and her hair that was standing on end also fell down. She weakly lay on the ground and pitifully shouted to Lu Mei, Sister. But Lu Mei unexpectedly slapped her and fiercely scolded, "How many times have I told you, you're not allowed to use this trick again? Do you want to die? If you want to die, then say it earlier. Why did I have to suffer that old man's torture for you?" While scolding her, Lu Mei also couldn't help but cry. She knew that her sister wanted to save her. She could only blame herself for not having the ability to protect her sister. "Sister, don't cry, I was wrong." Lu Tianer's eyes were also red. She reached out her hand to wipe away Lu Mei's tears. "Get up." Lu Mei quickly stopped crying. She said with red eyes, "Go back and cultivate." She wanted to become strong enough to trample on the people that bullied her sisters. Strong enough to kill that old monster and then go back to her uncle's family for revenge. At that time, she would definitely refine them into corpses. She would torture them day and night. She would make them suffer 1,000 times over. Chapter 288. Yun Jioga silently watched as the two sisters supported each other as they left. He felt that their story was very tragic. This Lu Tianer's 9 Dao body is not bad. If it is refined into a corpse, its power will double. Do you want to consider it? Zishang said. This 1,000-year-old corpse was, after all, a fake. It was not as useful to Yun Jioga as the real thing. You've only joined the corpse sect for a few days, and you really think that you're an evil cultivator? Yun Jioga rolled his eyes at Zishang. She came here to save her life, not to refine corpses. With such a good physique, don't you think it's a pity to leave it to the corpse sect? Zishang felt that it would be a waste not to take it. Of course we can't leave it to them. Yun Jioga still viewed the corpse sect as an enemy. Of course, he couldn't do something like this that would increase the enemy's strength. But for her to refine Lu Tianer into a corpse, just thinking about it made her feel ashamed. Since you don't want Lu Tianer, you might as well kill her. It was normal for Zishang to destroy what he couldn't obtain. What you are doing is no different from declaring your position. Yun Jioga knew that Zishang was not a good demon, but he did not expect him to be so evil. If he killed someone because of his own selfishness, sooner or later, he would become a devil who would not recognize his own family. You don't want it, but you don't want to give it to others. What do you want? Zishang felt that Yun Jioga was being unreasonable. The sisters are hiding very well now. If they are really exposed, we'll talk about it when the time comes. Yun Jioga decided to take one step at a time. If the Lu sisters' identities were really exposed, it wouldn't be too late for her to make a decision at that time. Looking at the two sisters, they were not willing to be someone else's corpses. Yun Jioga strolled around the energy cemetery for a while, then left with the energy bottle. She handed over a bottle of energy in exchange for 100 contribution points, which she used to pay half a month's rent. She did not immediately exchange the remaining qi for contribution points. Instead, she took it back to her bungalow and prepared to concoct pills. The qi pills provided by the corpse sect were too low level, the absorption effect was very poor. As an alchemist, she could not tolerate herself taking such inferior pills for a long time, so she intended to refine her own qi pill. Right now, she was already at the 2nd level of qi refining and could already operate the alchemy furnace. If he used it carefully, he could still refine a batch of energy pills. Yun Jioga took out the small bronze cauldron and asked Zishang to help him set up an array to conceal his spiritual power. Then, he hid in the house and began to refine pills. She first asked Zishang to help her refine the qi into pure energy. The entire bottle was filled to the brim with qi, but in the end, it was only a small cup of pure qi. Then, she took out the spirit grass that she had collected before and began to process it. The spirit grass looked like a woman's hair. It was thin and soft. After burning it into ashes and mixing it with pure spirit grass, it could be placed into the alchemy furnace to be refined. The white bone fire in Yun Jioga's dantian had been squeezed into a corner by the 9-stage bone shatterer's poison, so he could only use his spiritual power to draw out a bit of it to make his alchemic fire. Fortunately, the time needed to refine the Yin Chi Dan was very short, and her spiritual power was still enough to use. However, refining one furnace of yin qidan was also very tiring for her. This furnace produced more than 300 yin energy pills, and the quality was also high, enough for her to eat for a long time. After Yunjioge refined the yin energy pill, he went to the mission hall to accept the mission of killing yin ghosts. Then, he bought a yin energy bottle that could absorb 500 yin ghosts and went to the yin energy cemetery to kill yin ghosts. This time, her killing was very smooth. After a day, the 2 yin energy bottles were filled to the brim. When he came back at night, he took a look at the Lu sisters' house. Their door was still closed. They were probably still cultivating. "Senior brother Yunjio, you're back. It seems that today's harvest is not bad." Little Fatty appeared at the door with a smile. Yunjioge looked at him indifferently. Was he going to enter the house? "Senior brother Yunjio, I have the latest news about the Yin Corpse sect. Do you want to buy some information?" Little Fatty said quickly. "Buy information?" Yunjioge stopped and looked at Little Fatty from head to toe. "What information do you have to buy?" "Anything you want to hear." Little Fatty saw that he had a plan and immediately became spirited. He said eloquently, including the strategies of various missions, the various movements of the sect, the preferences of the various elders, the fastest way to enter the inner sect, the cultivation abilities of the senior brothers and sisters. Hearing this, Yunjioge's heart suddenly moved. She had always wanted to find out about Su Junqing, Yi Yunji, Si Yue, and the demon corpse. Maybe she could really get the information she wanted from this little fatty. However, she did not ask rashly. Instead, she asked, "How do I know if your information is reliable or not?" "You don't have to worry about this. I have an uncle who is the steward of the inner sect. He has worked here for more than 50 years. There is nothing he doesn't know," Little Fatty said quickly. "Your uncle is the steward of the inner sect. Why didn't you come in with a referral token?" The steward of the inner sect was much higher than Yin Shirley, the steward of the outer sect. If Little Fatty wanted to come in, he could come in as he pleased. "I wanted to see if there were any capable people coming to the Yin Corpse sect this year, so I went to participate in the preliminary selection." "You don't say. There were a few good seedlings in this preliminary selection. I heard that there was a male disciple with a natural dark spirit root. He was directly taken in as a disciple by the sect master," Little Fatty said nonstop. This Little Fatty really loved to collect gossip. Yunjioge trusted him a little more in her heart. She asked, "If that's the case, then I'll buy some information from you." Okay, but should we go somewhere else to discuss business?" Little Fatty said. People in their line of work were still very concerned about privacy. "Come in." Yunjioge opened the door and invited Little Fatty in. Little Fatty secretly looked around the room and found that there were no signs of anything being added. Usually, after the outer sect disciples were assigned a residence, they would add some things to make their living more comfortable. It seemed that this Yunjio was a cultivation maniac. Yunjioge did not care about Little Fatty's gaze. He directly asked, "I want to ask about the Lu sisters next door. Do you sell them here?" "Senior brother Yunjio, you have found the right person. I have the Lu sisters' measurements, their daily schedule, and their hobbies. It's only 10 contribution points." Little Fatty's expression immediately became ambiguous. He revealed an expression that said, "You know what I'm talking about." "I'm not interested in these things. I want to know their background." "The more detailed, the better," Yunjioge said coldly. Little Fatty was stunned. His expression suddenly became serious. He said, "The Lu sisters' background is not ordinary. It can be said to be our sect's secret. If you want to know, you need at least 500 contribution points." 500 contribution points? Yunjioge frowned. This was even more expensive than the puppet cultivation method. Could it be that Little Fatty knew that the two sisters had special constitutions, so he deliberately charged such a high price? No matter who it was, they could use this secret to do whatever they wanted to the Lu sisters, ensuring that they wouldn't dare to make a sound. It was only because he saw that Yunjiao did not seem like a lustful person that he sold this secret to her. Where did you get this secret? Well, she was surprised that the Lu sisters were fugitives. Our In Corps sect seems to accept disciples very casually, but we actually check very strictly. However, things like secrets should only be kept between you and me. It won't do either of us any good if we reveal it. Little Fatty's face was smiling, but his words carried a hint of threat. If he dared to sell such important information, he must have a backer. Yunjiao naturally wouldn't tell anyone about the Lu sisters' past. She was more curious about the In Corps sect's attitude. Since they know that the Lu sisters are fugitives, why did they still accept them? Aren't they afraid of trouble? The Lu family and that evil cultivator old monster aren't anything special. If he dares to come here to take people, then he will have to pay the corresponding price. To put it bluntly, the In Corps sect was doing business without capital and wanted to extort money from the Lu family and the evil cultivator old monster. Then do you know how the Lu sisters escaped from the evil hands of that old monster? Yunjiao was still quite curious about this. I heard that when the old monster was plucking them, they took the opportunity to cut his lower part and escaped. Little Fatty's face revealed a sour expression. Even a golden core ancestor couldn't take a cut on his lower part. These two sisters were indeed fierce. Although Yunjiao didn't have any asterisk, she could imagine that the pain must be unbearable. Seeing that senior brother Yunjiao is so generous, I'll give you another piece of information. Little Fatty lowered his voice and said mysteriously, I heard that senior brother Su Junqing is very interested in this pair of sisters. If you like them, you have to keep an eye on them, or else you'll get nothing. Su Junqing? Yunjiao narrowed her eyes. This name was really detestable. But since Little Fatty mentioned it, she also took the opportunity to ask, do you know the origin of this senior brother Su Junqing? Of course, 50 contribution points. Little Fatty stretched out a palm. Although this price was cheaper than the Lu sisters, Yunjiao didn't even have a single contribution point on hand, nor did she have any inchi bottles to exchange. She thought about it and asked Little Fatty, do you want to exchange inchi pills? In the In Corps sect, 1 inchi pill could be exchanged for 1 contribution point. You still have inchi pills? Little Fatty was quite surprised. Usually, new disciples would take inchi pills to break through to the first level of chi refinement. I know an alchemist and I got some good inchi pills from him. Yunjiao took out a small jade bottle. Let me have a look. Little Fatty took Yunjiao's inchi pill and smelled it. His eyes immediately lit up. This inchi pill is not bad. 1 is worth 10 contribution points. Little Fatty's price was quite reasonable. Yunjiao gave him 5 inchi pills. Fatty rambled on and on about Su Junqing's background. A disciple of the bloodthirsty sect. He sold little girls in the Thunder Country's Shangjing. He even colluded with the Thunder Country's former crown prince, Dongfang Jianming. He wanted to kill the Medicine Refining Valley's Grandmaster Dongfang. In the end, the Spiritualist Alliance surrounded the Blood Cloud Peak. Yunjiao knew these things better than Little Fatty. What she wanted to know was what happened after he entered the In Corps sect. Little Fatty rambled on and on, quickly talking about Su Junqing entering the In Corps sect. After Su Junqing entered the In Corps sect with Siyue, he didn't wait for Siyue to return. He used his beauty to hook up with Elder Mo Hua and successfully entered the Ink Flower Peak as an inner disciple. Following that, he successfully refined his own In Corpses. His strength greatly increased and his status in the Ink Flower Peak also rose along with it. Wait a minute, you said he refined his own In Corpse? Yunjiao frowned and asked, didn't they say that finding a suitable In Chi corpse is very difficult? He only joined the In Corps sect for a few days. How did he find one? That's right, his luck was good. He brought back a female slave from the Blood Cloud Peak. He never thought she would have a In spirit physique. She was very compatible with him, so he directly refined her. When Little Fatty said this, he couldn't help secretly sighing at Su Junqing's good luck. He went under the tutelage of Elder Mo Hua. If he went under the tutelage of another male elder, This Yin spirit physique woman would not have been his turn. He already knew that a Yin spirit physique woman would be compatible with anyone. When Yunjioga heard the words blood cloud peak female slave, her heart skipped a beat. She quickly asked, "Have you seen his Yin corpse?" "My uncle has seen it. He said it was very beautiful. There was even a red mole between her eyebrows." Little Fatty's words made Yunjioga's heart sink. Chapter 290. Yunji, it had to be Yunji. Yunjioga's heart trembled. She never thought she would receive this kind of news. Shang forcefully squeezed Yunjioga's hand and she came back to her senses. "Senior brother Yun, what's wrong?" Little Fatty's eyes kept looking at Yunjioga's face. It was a good thing that Yunjioga's poisoned face could not show any expression, otherwise Little Fatty would have seen it. "I just feel that this senior brother Su really has a good life." Yunjioga suppressed her anger and continued to ask, "You just said that senior brother Su Junqing likes the Lu sisters. Does he have bad intentions towards them?" "I don't know about this, but it can't be anything good." It could be seen that Little Fatty was also very disdainful of this Su Junqing. "Then if you have any news about Su Junqing doing anything to the Lu sisters, we can discuss the price," Yunjioga logically said. "No problem." Little Fatty was very satisfied with another regular customer. Yunjioga actually wanted to ask about Siyue, but she was afraid that asking too much would make Little Fatty suspicious, so she gave up. "If senior brother doesn't have anything else, then I'll leave first." Little Fatty was also very busy. After Yunjioga sent Little Fatty away, she closed the door and asked Zishang, "Do you think what he said was true? Did Su Junqing really refine Yunji into a Yin corpse? What he said just now was the truth." Zishang was hidden on the side. He had already used his demon eye to confirm that Little Fatty's news was true. That bastard Su Junqing. It was not enough to harm Yunji like that, he even refined her into a Yin corpse. Not killing him was simply intolerable. Right now Su Junqing is in the limelight of the Yin corpse sect. It is too risky for you to find him for revenge. Zishang calmly said. He brought Yunjioga to the Yin corpse sect to cultivate and expel the poison. Everything else had to be put aside. "I know." Yunjioga forcefully closed her eyes, and when she opened them, she had already calmed down. Cultivation was the most important thing. The most important thing for her right now was to go to the Yin Qi cemetery to collect Yin Qi and refine the Yin Qi pill. The further she went, the worse the Yin Qi pill would be. At that time, she would have to refine the Yin Qi pill. This Yin gathering pill required the 3 nether flower and Yin moths. The flowers and plants of 3 nether grew in the inner area of the Yin energy cemetery. It was not a problem for her to sneak in and pick them with the help of the skeleton monkey. However, the Yin moths resided in the Moth Valley of the Yin energy cemetery. One person could not catch many of them, so he had to cooperate with others. It seemed that he needed to change his cold and eccentric persona and find some reliable people to cooperate with. Fortunately, Yunjioga was only at the 3rd level of Qi refinement. There was still some time before he could advance to the 5th level, so he could take his time to search. The next day, Yunjioga went out to kill Yin ghosts again. When he returned to hand in his mission, he happened to see Lu Mei Er being entangled by Broom Chen and his gang. Little Beauty, Shorty Chio and his gang are all dead. You should hurry up and find someone to rely on. Otherwise, how are you going to maintain your pretty face? Broom Chen said with a smile. The disciples behind him had become much stronger. Shorty Chio's subordinates had already switched sides and joined his camp. Among the outer sect disciples, whoever had the bigger fist had the right to speak. If it was a normal day, Lu Mei wouldn't mind entering Broom Chen's camp to flatter him. But she was not in the mood right now. Ever since her little sister used the 9 nether ghost body, her situation had not been good. The cold Yin energy in her body had gathered in her body and could not be released. She did not dare ask someone to see her, so she could only stay by her side day and night. Her entire person was extremely irritable. Now seeing Broom Chen's disgusting face, she was even more annoyed. She directly scolded him, "Scram, don't cause trouble in front of this ant." Smelly whore, don't be so shameless. Brothers, go and teach her how to be a person. Broom Chen flew into a rage out of humiliation. He called out to his subordinates to teach Lu Mei Er a lesson. The surrounding disciples silently walked away. No one wanted to get involved in this muddy water. Although the Yin Corps sect did not allow fighting on the surface, if the law enforcement team did not see it, no one would care. Lu Mei Er touched her storage bag, wanting to take out the corpse controlling Bell and Broom Chen. At this time, a gentle voice rang out, "What are you doing? Don't you know fighting is forbidden in the sect?" Following that, Su Juanqing's handsome face appeared in front of everyone. Senior Su misunderstood. "We were just chatting. Isn't that right, junior sister Lu?" Broom Chen warned Lu Mei Er. "This aunt has nothing to talk about with you." Lu Mei Er did not put him in her eyes at all. Broom Chen's face immediately became ugly. "Didn't you hear junior sister Lu's words? Why aren't you scramming?" Su Juanqing was clearly standing on Lu Mei Er's side. Yes. Broom Chen was powerful among the outer disciples. But in front of Su Juanqing, an inner disciple, he was nothing. He immediately tucked his tail between his legs. He brought his subordinates and left. "Junior sister Lu, are you all right?" Su Juanqing gently looked at Lu Mei Er. "Many thanks to Senior Su for helping me out." Lu Mei Er gratefully smiled. "It's just a small matter. It's not worth mentioning. I heard your sister was injured. Is it serious? Do you want me to take a look?" Su Juanqing enthusiastically asked. Lu Mei Er's face paled when she heard this. She shook her head and refused. "Many thanks for Senior Su's concern. My sister's injury is no longer a problem. I still have a task to hand in, so I won't disturb Senior Su." After saying that, she hurriedly walked into the task hall. Su Juanqing looked at Lu Mei Er's slim figure. His eyes darkened, but he did not chase after her. Instead, he turned around and left. "Chase after her?" Zi Shang whispered into Yun Jioga's ear. He knew that Yun Jioga really wanted to kill Su Juanqing. Although she could not do it now, she could still find out some information. Zi Shang's words were exactly what Yun Jioga wanted. She immediately concealed herself and followed behind Su Juanqing. She did not expect Su Juanqing to actually go find Broom Chen. "Looks like you've been doing well recently." Su Juanqing's attitude was very casual. From his tone, it was clear that he was acquainted with Broom Chen. Broom Chen's face was filled with a flattering smile. He said in an obsequious manner, "Many thanks to Senior Su for helping me get rid of Shorty Chio. Now, the second peak is our territory. Don't worry, I will definitely help you get the Lu sisters. Do well, I won't mistreat you." Su Juanqing nodded in satisfaction. His foundation in the corpse sect was too weak. He had always wanted to rope in his own forces. It just so happened that this Broom Chen was relying on him. He used a little trick to lure out a level 2 Yin ghost from the inner circle to help him get rid of his opponent, Shorty Chio. However, Broom Chen was still a bit useless. He kept saying that he would help him get the Lu sisters, but there was no progress until now. Although Su Juanqing cultivated the bewitching art, it was not good to use it on the Lu sisters. Otherwise, those senior brothers and sisters who did not like him would definitely fiercely sue him. Although the corpse sect's rules were very loose, publicly murdering a fellow sect disciple would still be heavily punished. Of course, if you secretly murdered someone, it was another matter as long as no one found out. Chapter 291. Yun Jioga looked at this scene from afar. She really wanted to punch Su Juanqing. This scumbag was really despicable and shameless. He would harm women wherever he went. Originally, Yun Jioga treated the Lu sisters as enemies. But now, she felt that they could be partners and fight against Su Juanqing together. "My king, what do you think I should do to win over those two sisters?" Yun Jioga humbly asked Zi Shang for advice. She wasn't good at picking up girls. First, tell them that you already know their identity as female slaves and their 9 hell ghost body. Second, give them some benefits. Let them know that they will have meat to eat if they follow you. Finally, use them to fight against Su Juanqing. Zi Shang explained. Isn't that too direct? Yun Jioga originally wanted to start off as friends with the Lu sisters. With their experience, it's better to be direct. Zi Shang had a look of, listen to me. Makes sense. Yun Jioga nodded. She didn't have the time or the mood to talk about feelings with the Lu sisters. When the time comes, you can show them your true self. They will know that you have no ill intentions towards them. Zi Shang was very confident in his acting as a 1,000-year-old corpse. Even 10 9-hell Daoist bodies couldn't compare. We'll talk about it when the time comes. Yun Jioga's attitude was very perfunctory. She felt that she was fine now. She didn't want to let Zi Shang out and cause trouble at all. It'll be too late. Zi Shang was very unhappy with Yun Jioga's attitude. Yun Jioga ignored him. She went back to the bungalow and knocked on the Lu sisters' door. Who is it? Lu Meier's voice sounded. I, Yun Jioga, have something to discuss with you. Yun Jioga said calmly. I don't have time right now. We'll talk tomorrow. Lu Meier's tone sounded very perfunctory. No, I want to say it now. If you don't come out, don't blame me for barging in. Yun Jioga's attitude was very firm. The door opened very quickly. Lu Meier's beautiful face appeared from the gap. She said impatiently, if you have something to say it quickly. I already know your background and your sister's body. Before Yun Jioga could finish, he was pulled into the room by Lu Meier. A white bone spear hung in the air and aimed straight at Yun Jioga's face. You can't kill me. Yun Jioga's attitude was firm. Zi Shang was standing behind Lu Meier. Lu Meier's eyes were bloodshot and her aura was exploding, as if she wanted to swallow Yun Jioga whole. Sister, let him come in to talk. Lu Tianer's voice was heard along with the sound of banging. Little sister. Lu Meier couldn't be bothered to confront Yun Jioga. She hurriedly entered the inner room. Yun Jioga followed her into the room and saw Lu Tianer lying on the floor, struggling to get up with the help of the bed. You're already like this. Why are you still struggling? Lu Meier quickly went over to help Lu Tianer up. Lu Tianer's face was particularly ugly. Her face was ashen and her eyes were red. Her vitality was also very weak. This was the side effect of using the Netherworld Dao body. If he used it a few more times, her vitality would be completely cut off and she would become a living corpse. Put her on the bed. I have a way to suck out the cold energy from her body. After saying that, Yun Jioga brought out the Thunderfire needle. I don't need your fake kindness. Lu Meier glared at Yun Jioga fiercely. It was obvious that she didn't believe her words. She's already like this. If we don't treat her, I'm afraid that the entire In Corpse sect will know about her body constitution. Yun Jioga wasn't afraid that Lu Meier wouldn't give in. Sister, let's just treat a dead horse like a living horse. Lu Tianer said weakly. Only then did Lu Meier carry Lu Tianer back to the bed. Then, she guarded by the side and stared at Yun Jioga like she was looking at a pervert. Yun Jioga didn't mind. He first checked Lu Tianer's pulse and found that it was so weak that he couldn't feel it. Her situation was very dangerous. Although she couldn't open her spiritual eye, she could still use other methods to check the situation in Lu Tianer's body. Later, I will send a stream of Yin energy into your body to check. Don't resist. Yun Jioga said solemnly. N. Lu Tianer nodded. Yun Jioga then released a stream of Yin energy into her pulse. She carefully checked the situation of her meridians and memorized the blocked areas. After she finished checking, she took out the Thunderfire needle and started to use her acupuncture technique. Streaks of red light landed on Lu Tianer's blocked meridians, leaving countless densely packed needle holes. Then, countless grayish-black water droplets seeped out of the needle holes. Lu Tianer's complexion started to improve. Her grayish-white lips also had some color. After Yun Jioga kept the needle, he said, try to circulate a big cycle. Lu Tianer immediately sat cross-legged and circulated her technique. The grayish-black water droplets turned into mist and surged out, covering her body. Lu Meier was extremely nervous and quickly asked Yun Jioga, what's going on? Good situation. Yun Jioga said indifferently. Lu Tianer quickly finished circulating her technique. Her complexion instantly returned to normal. She looked like nothing had happened. Brother Yunjiu, you're so amazing. Lu Tianer's eyes lit up as she looked at Yunjioga and asked, such amazing acupuncture technique. Where did you learn it from? Yunjioga didn't answer Lu Tianer's question. Instead, he said, I came to find you guys to discuss a deal. What deal? Lu Mer asked with a calm face. Of course it's a deal that's beneficial to you. Don't worry. I'm not interested in refining you into corpses. However, your cultivation is too low right now. Let's talk about it when your cultivation is higher. Although Yunjioga wanted to rope in the Lu sisters, he couldn't immediately tell them his goal. Otherwise, he would have nowhere to cry if they sold him out. Lu Mei scrutinized Yunjioga. Unfortunately, his demonic face didn't have any expression, so she couldn't see anything. Brother Yunjioga, you saved me. You're my benefactor. I'll do anything you want me to do. Lu Tianer said naively. Don't be silly. Be careful that you don't know you'll be sold. Lu Mei scolded. Brother Yunjioga isn't that kind of person. Lu Tianer pouted and said with a bit of grievance. The sisters echoed each other and acted very well. Unfortunately, Yunjioga didn't fall for it. Tomorrow, wait for me at the Inchi Cemetery's entrance. Yunjioga threw down these words and left. Lu Tianer pretended to be in a daze as she watched Yunjioga leave. When he disappeared and the door closed, the expression in her eyes changed. She asked Lu Mei seriously, Sister, what do you think? I can't see through this Yunjioga. However, since he knows your secret, we can't let him live. Lu Mei said ruthlessly. She didn't believe that Yunjioga wasn't interested in her sister's special constitution. Chapter 292. Then we have to prepare tomorrow. Lu Tianer's current appearance did not have the slightest bit of cuteness. Her ruthlessness was not inferior to her sister. Xianxia heard the conversation between the two sisters and immediately said to Yunjioga with schadenfreude, those two sisters are preparing to get rid of you in the Inchi cemetery tomorrow. What are you laughing at? Aren't you afraid that your mouth will go crooked? Yunjioga was extremely depressed. Did she really have to introduce Xianxia, this beast? Wash your neck and wait. This sovereign will not help you. Xianxia smiled and patted Yunjioga's shoulder. Little guy, you deserve it for being perfunctory with this sovereign. Yunjioga was also worried that she would fail miserably tomorrow, so after carefully checking the storage bag, she let out the Xian white bone monkey to practice. In this period of time, she realized that the Xian white bone monkey was quite intelligent. Although it could not speak, the soul fire in its eyes was very lively and could represent all kinds of emotions. For example, it liked to go to the Inchi cemetery the most. Every time it went there to kill ghosts, its soul fire would jump very fiercely. But once it disintegrated into white bones and put into a belt, it would look like it had nothing to live for. Little monkey, if you perform well tomorrow, Big Sister will refine something good for you to eat. Yunjioga stated her condition. She realized that if the Xian white bone monkey could automatically cooperate, then its attack power would be much stronger. The Xian white bone monkey stood there blankly. Its soul fire did not have any reaction, as if it did not understand what Yunjioga meant. You have not tasted the Inchi water yet, right? Come. Yunjioga took out a Inchi bottle, condensed the Inchi inside into water, and dissolved the Inchi dan in it. Then, she dipped a brush in the water and rubbed it on the Xian white bone monkey's head. The Xian white bone monkey's soul fire immediately soared. Its two small arms could not help but move upwards. It was very obvious that it liked the Inchi water. You like it, right? Work hard tomorrow. Big Sister will make sure you are full. Yunjioga squinted her eyes and laughed treacherously. If it was full now, how would it work tomorrow? How could the little white bone monkey be Yunjioga's opponent? Its nimble fire expanded and contracted, as if it was nodding. Beast, you won't even let the white bone monkey go. Xianxia finally found a chance to ridicule Yunjioga. It was rare that Yunjioga did not retort. As long as it was useful, then so be it. The next morning, Yunjioga arrived at the entrance of the Energy Cemetery. The Lu sisters were already waiting there. As usual, put on a dark face and nodded coldly at her. Lu Tenner continued to act innocent as she greeted Yunjioge innocently. Good morning, brother Yunjio. Come with me to kill the evil ghost, and we will divide the yin qi equally. Yunjioge had the same attitude towards the two sisters, expressionless. Don't worry, brother Yunjio can give me as much as you want. Lu Tianer's eyes curved into a smile. The girl next door's charming appearance was indeed very easy to gain the favor of men. Unfortunately, Yunjioge was a transvestite disguised as a man. He ignored Lu Tianer's cute act and walked into the Yin Qi cemetery first. The Lu sisters glanced at each other and followed him in. The Yin energy cemetery was still bone-piercingly cold. Low-level evil ghosts were floating everywhere, and when they saw Yunjioge and the other two enter, they immediately surged forward. Lu Tianer and Lu Mei took out two white bone spears and made a defensive posture. However, the white bone spears were very close to Yunjioge, and they could basically stab Yunjioge in the chest with a backhand. Yunjioge did not care. He took out a small bag and threw it down, shouting, "Come out, little monkey." Thin white bones flew out of the small bag and formed the shape of a little monkey with a big head. Brother Yunjio is too amazing. You have your own white bone puppet so quickly. But this little monkey is too cute. Lu Tianer implied that cuteness could not be eaten. You don't need to defend, just focus on killing the evil ghosts. Yunjioge pinched his fingers and drew the Yin Qi from the little white bone to the three of them. The Yin ghosts immediately stopped their attacks. However, the Yin Qi distributed among the three of them was not enough. The Yin Qi still floated out faintly, causing the evil ghosts to circle around them. The Lu sisters did not expect such a situation. They originally wanted to take advantage of the chaos to kill Yunjioge the moment the evil ghosts rushed up, but now it seemed that it was not feasible. Brother Yunjio, this little monkey is so powerful, how did you refine it? Lu Tianer could not help but ask. If she and her sister could also have such a white bone monkey, they would not have to sell their bodies everywhere to find cultivation resources. This is a mystic Yin white bone monkey that I found by chance. Yunjioge's tone was very calm, as if he was very proud, but he did not say anything. Mystic Yin white bone monkey? Lu Tianer's eyes widened. This thing was an evil treasure. She did not expect Yunjioge to be able to get such a good thing. Lu Mei's fiery gaze turned to the white bone monkey, and a white bone spear in the Qingquan bag quietly emerged. Sister, I don't have enough Yin Qi bottles, give it to me. Lu Tianer suddenly said to Lu Mei, but her eyes were filled with disapproval. Now was not the time to make a move. Okay. Lu Mei immediately sobered up, and the white bone spear quietly returned to the storage bag. The two sisters quickly changed their strategy and concentrated on fighting the Yin ghosts. After all, the Yin Qi was good stuff. Yunjioge also commanded the white bone spear to kill the Yin ghosts. Unexpectedly, after the white bone monkey finished absorbing the Yin ghosts, it opened its mouth and spat out a pure Yin Qi at Yunjioge's Yin Qi bottle. The Lu sisters were dumbfounded. Being able to kill and take, this white bone monkey was simply a treasure. Yunjioge was also very surprised. One must know that the white bone monkey was only concerned about eating and never paid attention to her. It seemed like the Yin Qi feast last night made it wake up. After all, the refined Yin Qi was much more delicious than these low-level Yin ghosts. Yunjioge put away the white bone spear and concentrated on collecting the Yin Qi. Soon he filled a big bottle. Let's rest for a while. Yunjioge saw the Lu sisters were panting, so he decided to let them rest first. Okay. Lu Tianer was also tired to the point that her face was a little pale. She had just recovered from a serious illness, and after fighting with the Yin ghosts for so long, she couldn't hold on anymore. She staggered a little and fell toward Yunjioge. However, Yunjioge dodged Lu Tianer, then grabbed her right hand and raised it high. Lu Tianer's right hand was holding a red paper doll. On it, there was a human figure drawn with ink, which was very similar to Yunjioge. Seeing that her sister's curse failed, Lu Mei immediately drove the two white bone spears to stab Yunjioge's chest. Lu Tianer was also a ruthless person. She took out the red paper doll that she had prepared and patted it on her body. Immediately, she activated the 9U Dao body with red eyes and black hair. It was obvious that she was going to fight with Yunjioga today. Chapter 293. Zay, I miscalculated. Yunjioga secretly sighed at his bad luck. He had revealed the white bone monkey to let them see his aura, but he never thought that it would cause them to covet him. It really was not good to show off one's wealth. Yunjioga cursed in his heart, but his hands moved very quickly. Ringing the corpse control bell, the white bone spike flew out to block Lu Mei Er's attack. Then he sent the white bone monkey to deal with Lu Tian. The white bone monkey shook its big head, making kacha-kacha sounds as it walked towards Lu Tian. After taking 2 steps, it was sent flying by Lu Tian's kick. The little skeleton fell to the ground and the big head rolled into the sand, burying itself in the ground. Little monkey! Yunjioga's heart tightened, wanting to call it back. At this time, 2 Yin ghosts floated by. The little monkey immediately raised its head. Its soul flame happily swam, opening its big mouth to eat the Yin ghosts. Not to mention helping Yunjioga, it didn't even care about its broken little skeleton, burying its big head in the sand as it began to eat. Yunjioga finally saw it clearly. This white bone monkey was a glutton. Wanting to rely on it to fight was too hard. If you want this senior's help, then ask me. Zishang stood behind Yunjioga, his gray eyes filled with ridicule. Yunjioga wanted to refuse, but seeing Lu Tian's long black nails in front of her, she could only helplessly give in. Great King, I beg you. Only then did Zishang reveal himself. He lazily raised his hand and shot out a gray yin chi that sent Lu Tian flying. Lu Tian's body flew back, slamming into Lu Mei Er, the 2 sisters rolling into a ball. For you. Lu Mei Er looked at the beautiful gray-eyed man next to Yunjioga in shock. She felt like she was dreaming. Otherwise, how could there be such a perfect man, appearing in such a strange way? Lu Tian shivered as she shrank beside Lu Mei Er. She was now in a half-ghost body. Her intuition was very sharp. She felt from the bottom of her heart that this beautiful man in front of her was very dangerous. She couldn't provoke him. This is my Yin corpse with a blood contract. Yunjioga introduced without any expression. Yin corpse. Lu Tian's eyes opened wide in disbelief. She found that this gray-haired beautiful man did not have a single trace of life on him. His pair of cold gray eyes made her feel like she was falling into an ice cave. That's right, he is a 1,000-year-old corpse, so I have no interest in you. Yunjioga waved his hand and the red paper person flew into his hand. This red paper person was filled with a thick smell of blood. The red paint was all made from blood. Was the person drawn by the brush exuded a gloomy and evil aura, making her dizzy just by looking at it. No wonder Shorty Chio and the others fell for it. The Lu sisters were indeed skilled. Senior brother Yunjio, I have absolutely no intention of harming you. We made this red paper man for fun. Lu lied through her teeth. Do you think I'm an idiot? Yunjioga's eyes were unkind. These 2 sisters really needed a lesson. Brother Yunjioga, if you want to blame someone, then blame me. I thought you had bad intentions towards my little sister, so I encouraged her to help me deal with you. Lu Mei Er immediately kneeled down and begged for mercy. Brother Yunjioga, it's all my fault. I forced my big sister to help me deal with you. Lu Tian took off the red paper and returned to her original appearance, kneeling on the ground and crying. Shut up, I'll let you go this time, but if there's a next time, don't blame me for selling you to the Yin Corp's sex elders. I believe they will be very interested in you. Yunjioga burned the red paper person on the spot. Thank you, brother. The Lu sisters said with gratitude. Get up, do a good job in the future and I won't mistreat you. Yunjioga gave them a big stick and began to give out dates. Thank you, brother, us 2 sisters will be loyal to you in the future. The Lu sisters said as they helped each other up from the ground. Then they obediently walked to Yunjioga's side. Let's stop here for today. Yunjioga saw that most of the Yin Chi had been collected and the Lu sisters had been subdued, so he planned to return home. Yes. The Lu sisters nodded obediently and then secretly glanced at Zishang. They were wondering why they didn't have the luck to meet such a 1,000-year-old corpse. Zishang didn't respond to their gazes. "Let's go." Yunjioge turned around and called out to Zishang, but a strange light flashed in Zishang's eyes. Then, he carried Yunjioge horizontally and quickly disappeared in front of the Lu sisters. The Lu sisters looked at each other, not knowing what was going on. However, they didn't dare to leave on their own. They surrounded the white skeleton monkey and killed the Yin ghosts while waiting for Yunjioge to return. "What are you doing?" Yunjioge was shocked. Why didn't Zishang follow the script? Why did he suddenly go crazy? I suddenly realized that the effects of dual cultivation in this Yin energy graveyard are much better. Zishang quickly brought Yunjioge to a withered tree that was so wide that 5 people could wrap their arms around it. There was a big hole in the withered tree, and it was quite spacious inside. The 2 of them could stand and turn around without being affected. This place is not bad, right? Zishang found this tree hole last time. At that time, he felt that dual cultivation with Yunjioge would be very enjoyable. No matter how good it is, it can't be so sudden. Yunjioge finally understood how the words, "lust clouded the heart," were written. Dual cultivation is a big deal. Of course, we should take advantage of the right time and place. Zishang said seriously. **T, this place is so dirty, and there are insects everywhere. I don't want to dual cultivate here." Yunjioge felt itchy just looking at the tree hole. "Itchy, is it? I'll help you scratch it." Zishang smiled and reached out to pull Yunjioge's belt. "Damn you!" Yunjioge was no match for Zishang and was quickly raped. The 2 of them started dual cultivating in the tree hole more smoothly than in the bungalow. Their spiritual power grew quickly, and their dantian's meridians became stronger. It was clear that Zishang's words were not entirely teasing. However, Yunjioge was still angry in his heart, so he purposely let out moans and groans as his palms caressed Zishang's muscular body. "Do you have to do this?" Zishang was very uncomfortable. Not bad. Use more strength." Yunjioge was not afraid of him, and instead moaned even more. "Do you believe that I won't do you?" Zishang threatened fiercely. He couldn't vent his anger while dual cultivating with Yunjioge. He had been holding it in for a long time. Yunjioge was doing this to him, and he was in great pain. "If you have something to do, do it to me." Yunjioge wrapped her legs around Zishang's thin waist, looking fearless. Zishang said before that her dantian was too weak and could not withstand his essence energy. So, before the poison was cured, he could only be an old ox that worked hard to plow the fields. "Stupid girl, I'll kill you sooner or later." Yunjioge moaned even louder. She had been teased too much before, and now she could finally get her revenge. If you asked her how she felt, there was only one word to describe it: pleasure. Chapter 294. Because Zishang was too depressed, the dual cultivation ended very quickly. After Yunjioge finished his cultivation, he put on his clothes and returned to his original place with Zishang. The Lu sisters had already killed quite a few Yin ghosts. Seeing Yunjioge come back with messy clothes and a few strange red marks on his neck, their expressions became strange. The Lu sisters grew up in this area, so they were very familiar with Yin corpses and demonic sex. Naturally, they knew when Yin corpses would take the initiative to form a blood contract with a living person. There were some that had deep feelings when they were alive and could not forget their family and friends after death. There were some that felt that a living person was especially delicious, becoming addicted to eating and not willing to let go. This kind of eating, other than sucking blood, there was another method which was to have sex. To put it nicely, it was like water and milk, but to put it bluntly, it was being fucked. Very clearly, Yunjioge in front of them was in this kind of situation. No wonder his expression was so strange. It was estimated that he had been fucked by that 1,000-year-old corpse for a long time, causing the corpse poison in his body to manifest. The Lu sisters thought that this corpse love was just a legend. They never thought that there would be a living example in front of them, Moreover, it was a man with a cut sleeve. The two of them couldn't help looking at Yunjioge a few more times. Yunjioge had an expressionless face, letting the Lu sisters look at him, but his heart was very sullen. It was all because of Zishang's broken idea. Now he must be very abnormal in the eyes of the Lu sisters. Senior brother, it's getting late, let's hurry up and leave. Lu Mei took the initiative to say with a very kind attitude. The two sisters had a rough life, suffering under the hands of that evil old monster. What they needed the most was not sympathy from others, but sympathy from fellow sufferers. Yunjioge, this pitiful man being pressed down by that 1,000-year-old corpse, met this condition without a doubt. Let's go! Yunjioge brought the Lu sisters out of the Yinqi cemetery. Returning to the small house, Yunjioge gave them 2 bottles of Yin energy pills. Cultivate well. Saying this, he returned to the house. Good night, senior brother. The Lu sisters waited for Yunjioge to enter before returning to their own house. Elder sister, do you really think Yunjioge won't refine me into a Yin corpse? Lu Mei asked in a worried voice. I don't think so. It's rumored that Yin corpses that have a blood contract with a living person are very possessive. There are even precedents of them killing the contractor's entire family. It definitely won't allow the contractor to refine another Yin corpse. Lu Mei cautiously said. But he can sell me to someone else. After Lu Tiana was betrayed by her uncle, she didn't trust anyone except her sister. He has that 1,000-year-old corpse by his side. He can get whatever he wants. There's no need for him to sell it to us. As Lu Mei said this, she laughed. Besides, he's worth more than us now. If anyone wants to sell him, it should be us. Although his younger sister's 9 nether ghost body was rare, her vital Yin had already been taken away by that damned old monster, so its effectiveness was greatly reduced. It was not even as valuable as the mysterious Yin white bone monkey. Although the 1,000-year-old corpse had formed a blood contract with Yunjio, the Yin corpse sect must have a way to remove it, so the one who should be worried should be Yunjio. Big sister's words make sense. Lu Tiana realized that her net worth had plummeted and felt inexplicably relieved. I think that Yunjio is a person with good fortune. If we follow him, we might be able to get some good luck. Lu Mei originally thought that this Yunjio was just a demonic-looking youth. She didn't think that he not only had a treasure like the mysterious Yin white bone monkey, but also a 1,000-year-old corpse as a Yin corpse. This kind of great fortune was simply something that only the favored of the heavens could have. If they could get some good luck by following him, the two sisters would be able to avoid a lot of detours in the future. Big sister is right. The two sisters had a hard life, that's why they ended up in this situation. Let's follow him first and work hard to raise our cultivation. Lu Mei finally came to a conclusion. Lu Tiana nodded her head in agreement. She then took out the Yinqi pill that Yunjioge gave her and ate it. Her eyes immediately widened. What's wrong? Is there a problem with this Yinqi pill? Lu Mei asked. Heavens, I've never eaten such a pure Yinqi pill before. Lu Tiana said as she sat down cross-legged to cultivate. Lu Mei stood guard at the side. After she finished cultivating, she also couldn't wait to eat one. She immediately understood her little sister's meaning. Big sister, let's follow him for now. We'll see what happens in the future. Lu Tiana felt that this Yinqi pill was too good. Right. Lu Mei nodded her head. The Lu sisters had real benefits in front of them. Even if they were to fall out in the future, they would have to take this opportunity to increase their strength first. The two sisters used the Qi-gathering pill and it was much better than the one given by the sect. Their cultivation increased very quickly as well. Yunjioge didn't know that her Yinqi pill had successfully bribed the Lu sisters. After she entered the room, she immediately refined a large bucket of Yinqi water and threw the little white bone monkey inside. The little white bone monkey happily soaked in the water. Its soul flame was squinting as if it could ascend to the heavens at any time. Good child, work hard in the future. You won't be lacking in benefits. Yunjioge rubbed its big head and then went to the side to cultivate. She had touched the threshold of the third Qi disciple stage, but she was unable to advance. The cultivation of the myriad beast spell had also reached a bottleneck. No matter how she cultivated, she couldn't condense the feathers on her back. Instead, she felt sore all over. In your current situation, you need to start tempering your bones. Zishang could see Yun Jiuji's problem at a glance. After Yun Jiugu cultivated the Yin Qi technique, although the 9-stage bone-shattering poison in her dantian had been alleviated, the poison that seeped into her bones still needed to be boiled out. I'm going to boil the bones so soon. Do I have enough medicinal ingredients? Although Yun Jiugu had asked the Gong family to help her collect a lot of bone-tempering medicinal ingredients, she was afraid that it wouldn't be enough for her to reach the peak of Qi disciple. We'll talk about it if it's not enough. Pick up the medicinal ingredients first. I'll help you get a wooden bucket. Zishang left the room after he finished speaking. After Yun Jiugu had picked up the bone-tempering medicinal ingredients, Zishang returned and carried out a thick, long, and round piece of black wood from his storage bag. The glossy black wood was covered with golden round spots. It was as gorgeous as a leopard's pattern. Damn, why did you bring the treasure of the Ink Flower Mountain here? Yun Jiugu immediately recognized that it was Elder Mo Hua's treasure, the black bone leopard pattern wood. It was said that she had planted 38 trees behind her cave abode and planned to use them to refine a treasure in the future. Therefore, she usually kept a close eye on it. This kind of wood is the best to make a wooden bucket. Zishang had high standards. He didn't even look at normal wood. You keep saying that you want to keep a low profile. Is this how you keep a low profile? If this Elder Mo Hua found out that her precious wood was stolen, she would turn the Yin Corps sect upside down. Even if she was only an outer sect disciple, her life wouldn't be easy. Chapter 295. Do you think I'm as stupid as you? Zishang dared to steal the wood, so he was naturally prepared. He found a normal black bone wood, painted it with leopard spots, and planted it back in its original spot. There were more than 30 black bone leopard wood in the forest. As long as Elder Mo Hua didn't dig it out, he definitely wouldn't find it. You can do that? Yun Jiugu was impressed by Zishang. But no matter what, she was the one who brought the black bone leopard wood back to enjoy. She was still very happy. You boil the herbs first. I'll make the wooden barrel later and we can use it. Zishang's fingernails grew, and he cut the black bone leopard wood into neat wooden pieces. Then he carved fire runes along the leopard markings on the wooden pieces and started piecing them together. Apart from its spiritual solidification properties, the black bone leopard wood also had great growth properties. The wooden pieces fit together perfectly, without a single gap. It was as if it was naturally a wooden barrel. After Yun Jiugu finished boiling the herbs, she poured them into the black bone leopard wood barrel. She didn't need to inject spiritual energy. The golden spots and fire runes lit up automatically, and small bubbles appeared in the pitch-black potion. I won't be cooked, right? Yun Jiugu swallowed her saliva. She was really worried that a layer of her skin would be scalded off. It just looks hot. Zishang put his hand into the water easily. When he picked it up, it was still as white as jade. Yun Jiugu walked into the wooden barrel without worry. The moment she squatted down, her face flushed red. She screamed and wanted to jump out of the barrel. Bear with it even if it hurts. Zishang pressed Yun Jiugu down mercilessly. You lied to me. Yun Jiugu's face was so hot that her face was crooked. The water was even hotter than it looked. That's how it is. Zishang placed his hand on Yun Jiugu's shoulder to prevent her from escaping. The golden spots and fire runes on the black bone wooden barrel grew brighter. More and more bubbles appeared in the potion. The rising mist enveloped the entire bungalow. It was as if she was about to ascend to immortality. Yun Jiugu soaked in the water. She felt that the cold air in her bones was about to evaporate. Layers of black filth emerged from her pores, wrapping around her body like sludge. When the medicinal effect completely disappeared, the filth on her body was as thick as armor. Piece by piece, it peeled off her skin. However, the effect was very obvious. Her cultivation advanced by another level, and she successfully entered the 3rd level of Qi disciple. In addition, her 10,000 beasts spell had finally broken through the first layer. Not only did the phoenix feather flower on his forehead become clearer, but his skin also became smooth and tough, making it difficult for ordinary swords to injure him. However, the most obvious change was that the red light on her shoulder blades had finally turned into a thin layer of red fur. When will I be able to grow wings? Yunjioge asked Zishang as he stroked the layer of fluff. How long have you been cultivating and you want to become a demon? Zishang chuckled. This girl was looking down on the demon clan too much. If a talented wild beast wanted to evolve into a spirit beast, it would take at least 50 to 100 years. She had cultivated for a few months to have such an effect, and it was all thanks to him using his Naiden to dual cultivate with her. Otherwise, she wouldn't even be able to cultivate the red light. Forget it. It's just training anyway. Yunjioge was quite open-minded. She only cultivated the 10,000 beasts spell to stabilize her dantian. She did not really expect to become a spirit and become a bird. Yunjioge used her chi to retract the fluff on her shoulder blades, then took out the Yin energy pill and prepared to cultivate. This Yin energy pill doesn't taste as good as before. After Yunjioge took the Yin energy pill and circulated it through her body, she realized that the effect of the pill was not very good. Logically speaking, this Yin energy pill should be able to last until the 5th layer of Qi Disciple. Why did it lose effectiveness so early? After the 3rd layer of Qi Disciple, the amount of Yin energy you need starts to increase. In addition, your 10,000 beasts spell also needs double the spiritual power. This Yin energy pill is naturally not suitable for you. Zishang had been by Yunjioge's side all this time, so he knew her body like the back of his hand. He even knew how many feathers grew on her shoulder blades. If that's the case, I need to start refining the Yin energy pill now. Yunjioge sighed. The materials needed to refine the Yin energy pill were much more complicated than the Yin energy pill. The 3 nether flowers were easier to pick, but the Yin moths were not. The Yin moths only existed in the Moth Valley of the Yin Energy Cemetery, and they would only appear after midnight. The Yin Energy Cemetery was very dangerous at night. Even if she went in with the skeleton monkey, she might not be able to protect them. The worst thing was that the Yin moths were extremely fast. Killing them one by one was really tiring. She had to think of a way. Why don't you ask the Lu sisters? They were born and raised in this area. Maybe they have a way to deal with those Yin moths. Zishang felt that it would be good for her to cooperate with Yunjioge and the Lu sisters in the future. Okay. The next morning, Yunjioge went to the Lu sisters to ask about the Yin moths. These Yin moths are not easy to catch. If you don't need a lot, you can use contribution points to exchange. 10 contribution points for 1. Lu Tian'er suggested. The Yin energy pill is not effective for those above the 5th layer of weapon refining. You have to refine the Yin energy pill. Yunjioge said that a furnace of 10 Yin energy pills would require at least 200 Yin moths. She could afford it herself, but it depended on whether the Lu sisters could afford the price. So expensive? Lu Mei calculated the cost. If they followed Yunjioge to the Yin Energy Cemetery for a day, they could at most kill 100 Yin ghosts. That was 100 contribution points. After deducting the daily needs, there were 80 points left. Normally, 80 contribution points could be exchanged with Yunjioge for 8 Yin energy pills. Working for 1 day would allow them to go into seclusion for 8 days. They had plenty of time to cultivate. Now that they exchanged it for the Yin energy pill, 10 contribution points for 1 Yin moth. 200 Yin moths would be 2,000 contribution points. They would have to work for 25 days to exchange for 10 Yin energy pills. Where would they have time to cultivate? After calculating the cost, Lu Mei said decisively, "Then let's go catch them ourselves." Yin moths are very sensitive to yang energy. We can set a trap to lure them over and then kill them. I heard that they used living people as bait. Lu Tian'er said. There are disciples of the Yin Corpse sect in a 10-mile radius. It would be difficult to catch them as bait. Yunjioge expressed his disagreement with this method. It is indeed difficult. If we are discovered, we will be heavily punished. Lu Mu's tone was a little regretful. Although using living people as bait was the simplest and most convenient method, the Yin Corpse sect forbade killing each other. I see that the yang energy gathered by your red paper man is not bad. Why don't we try it? Yun Jioga had studied the Lu sisters' red paper man before. The yang energy gathered by their blood essence was not bad. The yang energy gathered by our red paper man is not enough to lure 2 Yin moths. How can it be used as a bait? Lu Mei quickly shook her head. What a joke. Those red paper men were all refined from her blood essence. Every one of them was very precious. It would be a waste to use them to lure Yin moths. Chapter 296. I'm just saying. I don't have to use your red paper dolls. I just need something with enough yang qi. Yun Jioga was just asking casually. Lu Tian'er's eyes suddenly lit up and she said, I know something with enough yang qi. You mean yang essence? As expected of twins, Lu Mei and Lu Tian'er immediately guessed what their sister was thinking. That's right. Lu Tian'er nodded and laughed. As long as we can collect enough yang essence and store it in a yang locator, we can definitely attract Yin moths and other fairies. Wait. Yun Jioga raised his hand and asked hesitantly, the yang essence you're talking about, is it the one you're thinking of? It's the one you're thinking of. Lu Tian'er laughed and said, how about brother Yun Jio contribute the first shot? I don't have that thing. Ahem, senior apprentice brother, don't mind me. My sister is just joking with you. Lu coughed and gestured for her sister to look at the 1,000-year-old corpse behind Yun Jioga. Xianxia actually found it quite interesting, but his identity as an old corpse made him unable to show his emotions on his face. In the eyes of the 2 sisters, he looked like he was angry. That's right, senior apprentice brother, I'm just joking. Lu Tian'er immediately became serious. The man of a 1,000-year-old corpse must not be casually flirted with. You guys find a way to get this yang essence. Inform me when you're done. Yun Jioga waved his hand dispiritedly. He no longer wanted to discuss this unrestrained topic with the 2 sisters. Senior apprentice brother, don't worry. Leave this task to us. The Lu sisters vowed. Oh right, go buy 2 more second-rank Yin Qi bottles. Yun Jioga planned to go all out. Yes. The Lu sisters accepted the task and went to work. Just as Yun Jioga was about to cultivate, Xianxia suddenly pulled her into his arms and blinked his peach blossom eyes. He smiled and said, do you want me to give you some yang essence? I've been saving it for a long time. Hee, you should keep such a precious thing. Yun Jioga pushed Xianxia away and went to cultivate seriously. While the Lu sisters were busy collecting yang essence, Yun Jioga was not idle either. She sneaked into the Yin Qi cemetery with the white bone monkey and picked many 3 nether flowers. 2 days later, the Lu sisters came to find her with a large milky white cup. The cup was in the shape of a cylinder, and the lid on it was very intricately made. It only allowed the liquid to enter but not exit, giving off a strange feeling. Senior brother, do you want to check it? Lu Tian'er pretended to open the cup. No need. It's fine as long as you think it's fine. Yun Jioga rejected the cup of little tadpoles. Then when should we go? This cup of yang essence won't be fresh if we keep it for too long. The Lu sisters had spent a lot of effort to make this thing. Let's go now, Yun Jioga said decisively. He would first go in and kill some Yin ghosts. After midnight he would catch the Yin moths. At midnight, the Yin Qi cemetery was shrouded in ghost qi, gloomy and gloomy. Yun Jioga was standing next to the big pagoda tree where he and Xianxia had previously dual cultivated. Beneath him was a depression, and in the middle of it was a bottle. Around it were 6 white bone spikes. Once we have gathered enough Yin moths, we'll attack at the same time. Can you do that? Yun Jioga looked at the 2 sisters. Her plan was simple. She would wait for the Yin moths to gather and then use the white bone spikes to kill them. At this time, cooperation was important. If the white bone spikes could not attack at the same time, the lethality would be greatly reduced, and the Yin moths would take the opportunity to escape. Senior brother, don't worry. I guarantee that none of them will escape. The Lu sisters were twins, so cooperation was an instinct for them. It was not difficult at all. Then let's begin. Yun Jioga nodded at Lu Mei. Lu Mei threw a red paper doll into the yang essence cup, and the doll quickly opened the lid. A faint stench floated out. The Yin Qi in the distance rolled, and a large group of Yin ghosts pounced over. However, they were lured away by the white bone monkey. Following that, a large group of gray Yin moths surged over. They were terrifyingly fast, and instantly drowned the yang essence cup. Lu Tiana looked at the Yin moths as if she was looking at countless contribution points. She was extremely excited. Lu Mei could not help but look at Yun Jioga with a questioning gaze. Yun Jioga shook his head. This was not enough. He had to accumulate more. Seeing that the number of Yin moths was increasing, and those that could not smell the yang qi were about to leave, Yun Jioga finally nodded. The Lu sisters simultaneously made a hand seal, and 6 white bone spikes burst out with a blood-red light, and with a loud bang, they pierced into the Yin moths. The Yin moths shrieked. In an instant, more than half of them were killed, and the rest scattered in all directions, trying to escape. Yun Jioga quickly commanded the white bone spikes to kill those that escaped. This attack killed a total of more than 400 Yin moths, just enough to make a cauldron of Yin gathering pills. There was still a lot of yang essence left in the cup, and it could continue to attract the moths. Just like that, Yun Jioga and the Lu sisters killed for the entire night. The bottle of yang essence attracted more than 2,000 Yin moths. Although the results were gratifying, it was extremely tiring. Well done. Yun Jioga held the 5 heavy Yin Qi bottles in his hands and praised the Lu sisters. Senior brother, you flatter us. Although the Lu sisters were happy, they knew that if it was not for the white bone monkey and the 1,000-year-old corpse protecting them, they would not have achieved such a result. Alright, let's go back. The yang essence had been used up, and the sun was about to rise. There was no point in staying any longer. The Lu sisters and Yun Jioga returned to the bungalow together, and after saying good morning to each other, they parted ways. Yun Jioga carried the heavy Yin Qi bottles back to the house, and was so tired that she could not lift her arms. However, these Yin moths would be wasted if she did not immediately refine them. She could only raise her spirits and prepare to refine the pills. The Yin Qi that the Yin moths produced was a little grayish-black, and the refined Yin Qi was also black and very thin. However, as long as the 3 nether flour was put in, it would become very sticky. The 3 nether flour looked like a mushroom, and the grayish-white mushroom had 3 thick black rhombus-shaped lines on it. These 3 rhombus-shaped lines were the materials needed to refine the Yin gathering pill. Yun Jioga removed the 3 rhombus-shaped lines from the mushroom and threw them into the Yin moth's water. The thin Yin Qi water instantly became sticky. After all the materials were prepared, Yun Jioga poured the sticky medicinal liquid into the small bronze cauldron and began to refine the pill. The fire required to refine the Yin gathering pill was very short, and inexperienced people would easily spoil it. However, this was not a problem for Yun Jioga. She only spent 2 hours to successfully refine the medicinal liquid into the Yin gathering pill. 10 cauldrons made a total of 300 Yin gathering pills, and the color looked grayish. Although it did not look good, the Yin Qi it contained was definitely very thick. When I think about how these Yin moths were attracted by yang essence, I feel a little nauseous. Yun Jioga looked at the furnace of Yin gathering pills, and could not help but sigh. However, for the sake of cultivation, she could only endure it no matter how disgusting it was. Chapter 297. This furnace is for the Lu sisters. You use these to refine. Unexpectedly, Zishang flipped his palm and took out a Yin Qi bottle. Yun Jioga took a look and saw that it was an incomparably pure black Yin Qi water. When did you make this? Yun Jioga looked at Zishang in surprise. The purity of this Yin Qi water was so high, it meant that the Yin moths caught by Zishang were of a very high level. This guy used the excuse of training her and rarely helped her with these things. She didn't expect him to be so kind today. When you were refining the pills, I went out for a walk. How could Zishang tolerate his woman eating those disgusting things? I knew you treat me the best. Yun Jioga generously kissed Zishang and excitedly went to refine the yin-gathering pill. The pills refined by this high-level yin-qi water were indeed different. Each pill was pure black and the effect was needless to say. One pill was comparable to the 2 pills from the furnace just now. It could be said to be of high quality. Yun Jioga kept these high-quality yin-qi pills well. The next morning, he sent the Yang Essence yin-gathering pill to the Lu sisters. Each bottle has 15 pills. Together with the yin-qi pills, it will be enough for you to cultivate for a month. Yun Jioga planned to give the 2 sisters 30 pills every month and keep 100 for himself. Although the yin moths were killed by everyone, she was the one who picked the 3 nether flowers and the pills were refined by her. She definitely wanted to be rewarded. Thank you, senior brother. The Lu sisters would not mind that it was taken out by the Yang Essence. 1 month later, go to the Moth Valley again. As for the Yang Essence, do as you see fit. But be careful of the impact. Yun Jioga told the Lu sisters in advance to remind them not to only pluck the feathers from one sheep. It was safer to take turns. There were still 4 outer sect disciple peaks. Senior brother, don't worry. We know what to do. Lu Tian'er said with a smile. There were more men than women in the Yin Corpse sect. With just a small illusion technique, they could easily obtain the Yang essence of those perverts. Alright, do as you see fit. Yun Jioga was still very confident in the Lu sisters. When the Lu sisters took the yin-gathering pill back and ate it, they almost flew into the sky. They were even more determined to follow Yun Jioga. Other than cultivating every day, the 2 sisters would wander around looking for candidates to collect the Yang essence next time. Yun Jioga, on the other hand, continued to train hard. From time to time, he would temper his bones. His progress was also very smooth. It seemed like he was about to break through to the 4th level of qi refinement. On this day, she had just finished cultivating when little Fatty suddenly came over. Senior brother, I have news regarding Su Junqing. 50 contribution points. Do you want to buy it? Yun Jioga transferred 50 contribution points to little Fatty without hesitation. Su Junqing has been pestering Elder Ink Flower recently. He has accepted another mission, little Fatty said mysteriously. What mission? Yun Jioga asked. I heard that he is going to bring a group of outer disciples out to work. However, I have yet to figure out the specifics of the task. Little Fatty felt it was a pity. If he could figure it out, he could sell it for more money. This Yun Jio was very generous. Tell me immediately after you figure it out. Yun Jioga had a premonition that this might be a good opportunity to deal with Su Junqing. Alright, I have another piece of news for you for free. Elder Cho Sen is about to return. Back then, Su Junqing came in with Siyue. Now that Siyue is seriously injured and unconscious, he has not gone to see her even once. He is probably afraid that Elder Cho Sen will find him, so he took the mission and hid away. Little Fatty was very good at doing business. He would often buy 1 get 1 free or give away gifts. Therefore, he had a good relationship with his customers. Got it? Yun Jioga had been in Yin Corpse sect for a long time. She already knew that Siyue was a disciple of Cho Shan. Although she was not Elder Cho Sen's direct disciple, it was said that her relationship with Elder Cho Sen was a bit ambiguous. No wonder Su Junqing ran away. However, this had nothing to do with her. She only cared about Su Junqing. That's right, haven't you been close to those 2 sisters recently? Why don't you ask them to help you gather some information? Su Junqing can't forget about them. Little Fatty was all smiles, but his tone was probing. He was quite impressed with Yun Jioga. He really took care of those 2 sisters. Although the information he sold to him was a great help, those 2 sisters were not easy to deal with. Many people who wanted to threaten them had already disappeared in the mass grave. I know what to do. You don't need to worry. Yun Jioga looked at little Fatty coldly. She never explained her relationship with the Lu sisters. She wanted little Fatty and the people outside to guess. The more ridiculous the better. Ahem. If there is nothing else, I will go. Little Fatty touched his nose and left. Yun Jioga sent little Fatty away. Just as she was about to find the Lu sisters to ask about Su Junqing, Lu came looking for her. What is it? Yun Jioga asked. Yes. Lu Mei nodded. Let's talk inside. Yun Jioga opened the door and let Lu Mei in. She was too lazy to let Lu Mei drink water. She directly asked, What is it? Last night, senior brother Su came looking for us. He wants us to be his lovers. He will be our support in the future. Lu Mei said. If it was before they met Yun Jioga, they would be more than happy to have such a strong, powerful and gentle senior brother like Su Junqing to protect them. But now that they were following Yun Jioga and improving with their strength, the two sisters no longer wanted to live the life of selling their bodies for resources. You can deal with him and see what benefits he can give you. Yun Jioga tried to rope in the Lu sisters because she wanted to use them to get close to Su Junqing. Senior brother Su said that in 3 months, the sect's small mystic realm will open. All outer sect disciples who have cultivated to stage 4 can enter the mystic realm to train. All outer sect disciples will participate. When the time comes, he will be the leader of our second peak. Lu Mei had already asked around. Although she did not want to be Su Junqing's lover, it would be a waste not to use the information that came to her. Yun Jioga's heart could not help but pound when she heard the news. This was definitely a good opportunity to kill Su Junqing. She suppressed her excitement and asked the Lu sisters, What did he tell you about the mystic realm? He only said that there is a type of human-faced peach growing in that little secret dungeon. Eating it is extremely beneficial for raising one's cultivation. The most important mission for us outer sect disciples is to pluck this human-faced peach. However, the process of plucking the human-faced peach is very dangerous, and many people might die. Lu Mei could not help but furrow her brows as she spoke up to this point. Every year, the Ein Corps sect would recruit a large number of disciples. There were tens of thousands of outer sect disciples, but less than 1,000 of them could successfully enter the inner sect. Most of them went into the mystic realms to train. Chapter 298. It seems there is something strange about this pocket dimension. You guys should hurry up and cultivate yourselves. If you have the chance, buy some good spiritual bones and prepare yourselves. I will go ask little Fatty about this pocket dimension. Hearing Lu Mei's words, Yun Jioga also began to view this pocket dimension with importance. Okay. Lu Mei nodded worriedly. Yun Jio had a 1,000-year-old corpse with him, so his life wouldn't be in any danger. However, the old corpse only cared about its contractor and turned a blind eye to them. It was too difficult to rely on it. It seemed like there was still a need to win over senior brother Su and ask him for help when necessary. Seeing through Lu Mei's thoughts, Yun Jioga reminded, Su Junqing isn't a simple person. It's fine to maintain a relationship, but be careful of falling into a pit of fire if you become his backer. I know. Lu Mei nodded. Ever since Su Junqing expressed his intention to rope them in, the two sisters had also inquired about him a lot. They knew that he relied on women to get to his position, so he probably didn't approach them with good intentions. It's good that you know. Go back and cultivate well. After Yun Jioga sent Lu Mei, he wanted to find little Fatty to ask about this mystic realm, but he was stopped by Zishang. There are still 3 months before the minor mystery dungeon. By then, even if you don't ask, little Fatty will come to you and sell you the information. There is no need for this. Right now, the most important thing is to find a way to improve my strength. For Zishang, a minor mystery dungeon like this was nothing. You're right. Yun Jioga also realized that he was a little impatient. Every time she encountered Su Junqing, she would easily lose control. This was not good. However, this was indeed a good opportunity, and he definitely couldn't miss it. Yun Jioga began to assess his combat power. Currently, his outer sex Ein art was at the 3rd stage of Qi refinement, and he could control 4 white bone spurs. Although the first stage of the 10,000 Beasts art could harden one's skin, it could only block normal swords and sabers. It was not very useful in actual combat. In terms of Dharma artifacts, there were the bone spikes and the corpse controlling bell given by the Ein Corps sect. There was also the evil saber he had gotten from forefather Bloodthirsty. The lightning snake illusionary whip was currently sealed and could not be used until the very last moment. As for the other things, the white bone flame could only be used to refine pills, and the white bone monkey could only eat inchi. The treasure-seeking scorpion could only search for treasures, the skinny squirrel was sleeping, and the pink mother goo had not hatched yet. No matter how Yunjioga thought about it, he realized that he did not have a single powerful Dharma artifact. What do you think if I forge my own set of bone spikes? Yunjioga asked Zishang. Before the Yin Corpse sect, outer sect disciples had their own Yin corpses, they all used bone spurs as magic weapons. If he could find a superior grade spirit bone to forge a bone spur, its attack power would also be very powerful. It was said that Elder Cho Sen's Dharma treasures were made from the bones of bloodthirsty bats. There were 27 of them in total, and they were very powerful. Find me the spirit bone, I'll help you refine it. Yunjioga was good at alchemy, but he wasn't good at blacksmithing. He didn't even have the slightest bit of talent when it came to runes. All right. Yunjioga had been waiting for Zishang to say this. She patted her pouch and solemnly called out, "Come out, treasure-seeking scorpion." The treasure-seeking scorpion immediately crawled out and waved its pincers. It raised its head and puffed out its chest as it shouted in a loud voice, "Master, what are your orders? Go outside and help me. Are there any white bones with abundant spiritual energy?" Yunjioga was very confident in the treasure-seeking scorpion. If it could find something similar to the mystic Yin white skeleton monkey, that would be the best. "I'll go right now." The treasure-seeking scorpion's fat body landed on the ground with a bang, creating a small pit. This fellow ate and slept well, and was in a good mood. Its weight was increasing. It was originally only the size of a palm, but now it had gone through secondary puberty and was as thick as a child's arm. Its digging speed was also increasing. Not good. Be careful. Yunjioga ordered. This was Yin Corpse Sect's territory after all. If something happened to the treasure-seeking scorpion, it would be very hard for her to solve it. Don't worry, I know. The treasure-seeking scorpion was very satisfied with its current life. It didn't want to change its master at all. It usually guarded its wife, and without Yunjioga's orders, it would never act on its own. The treasure-seeking scorpion looked left and right. After confirming its direction, it turned into a yellow light and entered the ground. "Great King Zishang, you're here. I'll make you a pot of tea." Yunjioga called out to Zishang in a flattering manner. If he wanted to deal with Su Junqing, this was the real Dharma treasure. He had to serve him well. Zishang's attitude towards Yunjioga was very useful. He lazily sat on the chair, twisted his neck, and muttered to himself, "Your shoulder seems a bit hard." "Is it hard? I'll help you rub it." Yunjioga immediately stood beside Zishang and pressed his shoulder. He even asked very gently, "Great King, is this strength suitable?" "It's all right." Zishang was drowsy, but the corners of his red lips curled up slightly. Yunjioga wanted to continue. At this moment, a yellow light appeared on the ground. The treasure-seeking scorpion had returned. So fast? Yunjioga thought that the treasure-seeking scorpion would take at least half a day. After all, this area was Yin Corpse Sect's territory. He didn't expect it to return in just 10 sentences. "I've already found the spirit bone. It's not far from here." The treasure-seeking scorpion said naively. "Not far." Yunjioga was slightly surprised. If it wasn't far, then it was still in the territory of the second peak. There could be a good spirit bone here. Let's go take a look. Zishang stood up and said, "Let's go." Yunjioga was also slightly curious about how close the spirit bone was. In the end, under the guidance of the treasure-seeking scorpion, they made a few turns and arrived at a workshop where the disciples of the second peak traded privately. Yunjioga had heard of this workshop before. Many outer sect disciples would set up stalls here to privately trade after obtaining some gains. The Yin Corpse sect would also turn a blind eye to it when it was too low to exchange it for contribution points. Yunjioga sent the treasure-seeking scorpion to pick up the spirit bones for free. Making her spend money was like cutting off her own flesh. Let's look around. If there's anything good, we'll buy it. Xianxia was rather interested in this workshop. All right, let's look around. Jioga felt a little heartache for her purse. The scale of this workshop was quite large. The small stalls were all trading within a planned area. Most of them were things that outer sect disciples could use. There were second-hand Qi bottles, various spirit bones, various low-grade materials. Jioga walked around but didn't find anything good. A slightly better spirit bone was sold for 100 contribution points. It was better for her to go to the mass grave to find it herself. As Jioga was walking around, she heard a familiar voice behind her. "Senior brother Jio, why are you here?" She turned around and saw that it was little fatty Wang Lin. "Why do you have a share in everything?" Jioga was impressed with little fatty. He curried favor every day, yet he still had the cultivation of the second layer of the Qi refinement realm. He was quite a capable person. Keeping track of the workshop's movements is also one of my jobs. If senior brother Jio wants to buy anything, just ask me directly. I don't charge for this information, little fatty said with a smile. Chapter 299. I want to buy a good spirit bone, but the price has to be reasonable. Jioga still trusted little fatty. You can't buy good spirit bones here, you have to go to the night market to get good stuff. Little fatty whispered. Ghost market? Jioga raised her eyebrows. It didn't sound like a good place. That's right, after midnight, there is a ghost market in the locust tree forest. There will be a lot of good stuff, but you can only exchange it. You can also buy it with spirit jades, but it doesn't accept contribution points. Little fatty carefully introduced the ghost market to Jioga. Because there were a lot of things that couldn't be put on the table, people who entered the ghost market had to cover their faces. They weren't allowed to ask for the origin of anything they wanted to exchange, and fighting was not allowed in the ghost market. Although the rules in the ghost market were very strict, there was no guarantee once you left. Many people would stare at targets in the ghost market and rob when they left, so it was very dangerous for people without any strength to go to the ghost market. Sounds good. Xianxia transmitted his voice to Jioga, deciding to go for a stroll tonight. Actually, there is still some risk in going to the ghost market. Senior Jio, if you have anything you want, just find me. I guarantee a good price. Little fatty started to pull in business. Okay, if you have spirit bones that are suitable for the Lu sisters, help me look for them. Jioga acted like a rich man who wanted to buy something to please a beauty. No problem. Little fatty patted his chest and guaranteed. Jioga left the workshop and returned to the house to prepare for the night market. What do you plan on using to exchange for things? Xianxia asked. I'll use some energy pills to try. If it doesn't work, I'll use spirit jades to buy it. Jioga really didn't have anything good on hand. She couldn't bear to use the ingredients in the storage bag to exchange. It would be very hard to buy them in the future. It's better to keep the spirit jades. Xianxia said. These contribution points could only be used in Corp's sect. Outside it was still better to use spirit jades. What do you think if I use the pill to exchange? Jioga's only skill was alchemy. Sure. Xianxia was very confident in Jioga's alchemy skills. Jioga naturally wouldn't use her own high-quality pill to exchange. She took out the inferior pill and put them in a bottle, finally preparing 10 bottles. At midnight, the moon was bright and the stars were sparse. The air was quiet. Jioga put on a black cloak and a black cat mask, then set off for the locust tree forest with Xianxia. From the outside, nothing seemed out of the ordinary in the locust tree forest, but after entering, he found that there were people everywhere in the shadows of the trees. If he wanted to sell something, all he had to do was find a secluded place and place the item on a red cloth. Then he would wait for someone who was interested to ask about it. Jioga looked around and found that there were all kinds of things being sold. Medicinal pills, cultivation techniques, demonic weapons, medicinal ingredients, and there were also people selling placentas. It was said that many female disciples liked the placentas and often bought them as tonics. There were also quite a number of people selling spirit bones. Most of them were gathered at the corner of a row of trees on the left. Yunjioga walked over and found a stall that had good spirit bones on display. A few of the bones were glowing with a faint azure light, indicating that they were wind elemental bones. The stall owner was also wearing a black cloak and a gray wolf mask. He was quite tall. "What kind of bone is this?" Yunjioga didn't need to change his voice to use a woman's voice. "Rank 3 Gale Wolf's leg bone." The gray wolf stall owner's voice was very hoarse. It was clearly not his own voice. Gale wolves could only be found in the bewildering beast forest in the north. That was the territory of the Joyful Union sect. He didn't know how this gray wolf stall owner got his hands on it. Indeed, he couldn't ask about the origins of the items in the black market. How much? Yunjioga didn't have the time to go to the bewildering beast forest and could only buy it with money. 100 spirit jade for one. The gray wolf stall owner said. So expensive? Yunjioga was interested and wanted to bargain. Buy it or not? The gray wolf stall owner was quite cool. Yunjioga wasn't angry. He squatted down and began to choose carefully. Although 100 spirit jade for one was quite expensive, the Gale Wolf's bone was indeed good stuff. If it was refined properly, its power would increase by several times. At this moment, the treasure-seeking scorpion suddenly squeaked and shouted, "Master, there's a treasure." "Treasure, where is it?" Yunjioga immediately perked up. "The bench under that man's but is a treasure." The treasure-seeking scorpion's voice was quite excited. "Bench?" Yunjioga glanced over in confusion. She discovered that there was a bare beast's bone under the gray wolf stall owner's butt. It looked gray and had no spiritual power at all. It was made to be a bench. However, since the treasure-seeking scorpion said it was a treasure, then it must be true. Yunjioga was very experienced in buying treasures. She only needed to bargain with the gray wolf stall owner and buy the Gale Wolf's leg bones first. Then she would pretend to ask for a bonus and take the bare beast bone away. Before Yunjioga could open her mouth to bargain, she heard the stall owner next door loudly say, "We don't add bonuses here." She glanced to the side and discovered that the stone that the other person wanted to use as a bonus was a red cloth. At this moment, it had already been put away by the stall owner as a treasure. Asking for a bonus in the ghost city? What an idiot. The gray wolf stall owner sneered, taking pleasure in other people's misfortune. Yunjioga was immediately speechless. These Corpse sect people were too shrewd. How could people find treasures like this? She couldn't help but glance at the bare beast bone under the gray wolf stall owner's butt. If she rashly said that she wanted to buy the bare beast bone, the gray wolf stall owner would definitely be suspicious. She had to think of a way. "Let's leave first." Zishang also spoke. Yunjioga pretended to leave, then walked to an empty corner and began to think of a way. "This bare beast bone is not easy to buy." Yunjioga racked her brains, but couldn't think of a way to naturally buy a useless bare beast bone. What's there to think about? If he doesn't want to sell, then just rob him. Zishang said as if it was a matter of course. Fighting is prohibited in the ghost city. Yunjioga still had to stay in the Corpse sect for a long time. Causing trouble now was definitely courting death. Can't we just leave the ghost city? Zishang was very familiar with robbery. In fact, he had already placed a tracing curse on the gray wolf stall owner, so he could find him at any time. All right. It's just robbing a broken bare beast bone. At worst, she would just give him some spirit jades as compensation. After Yunjioga made her decision, she prepared to go back and buy the Gale Wolf bones that she saw earlier. Buy what? When the time comes, we'll just rob them together. There was no need to go through so much trouble. What if he sells it to someone else? Yunjioga frowned. That bone was very good. Then we'll rob again. Zishang's hands were itching. How can we rob so much? Yunjioga ignored Zishang's rotten idea and went back to find the gray wolf stall owner. I want all 4 of these Gale Wolf's spirit bones. Can I have less? Yunjioga asked. Not less, this thing is not easy to get. The gray wolf stall owner was speaking the truth. For these Gale wolf bones, he was almost messed up by those little hussies from the Hahuan sect. Chapter 300. I don't have any spirit jades, do you want to trade for the elixir? Yun Jioga asked again. What pill? The gray wolf stall owner asked indifferently. He did not seem to be very interested. High-grade gathering in pill can be taken from Chi disciple level 5 to peak. Yun Jioga felt that this gray wolf vendor's cultivation should not be low, so it would be useful. The gray wolf vendor immediately raised his head. Although the shadow of the cloak covered his face, Yun Jioga could feel that he was very surprised. Let me have a look. Although the gray wolf vendor was happy, he was still very cautious. Yun Jioga poured a gathering in pill over. The gray wolf vendor was also knowledgeable. He could tell that it was a good elixir, and could indeed be used from Chi disciple level 5 to peak. How do you want to trade? The gray wolf vendor held the elixir and did not let go. 100 spirit jades per bottle, 10 pills. Yun Jioga felt that his price was very fair. Okay. The gray wolf vendor nodded, and the two quickly completed the transaction. Yun Jioga took the spirit bone, put it in her Qinkuan bag, and turned to leave. When she left, there were still a few gazes on her. It seemed that they had their eyes on her. Yun Jioga glanced at them from the corner of her eyes, and found that it was a gang crime. 3 or 4 people stood in a position where they could closely observe her movements, and they were not afraid of her finding out. Go that way, Zishang said. Yun Jioga followed Zishang into the shadow of the locust tree, and when she came out, she changed into a pure black mask, and even her body was much more muscular, and she immediately got rid of those people who wanted to rob her. That gray wolf vendor left, let's quickly follow. Zishang kept watching. Let's go. Yun Jioga also quickly left the ghost city, and followed the gray wolf vendor from a distance. It could be seen that this gray wolf vendor was very experienced. After circling around the ghost city several times, he quietly left and walked towards the first peak. The gray wolf vendor was very vigilant along the way, and deliberately chose wide and open terrain to walk. Yun Jioga originally wanted to sneak attack, but she could not find a chance. If the gray wolf vendor returned to peak 1, the robbery plan would be ruined. Yun Jioga had no choice, and could only use the white bone spur to stab the gray wolf vendor from the shadows. He didn't expect the gray wolf stall owner to react so quickly. 2 fiery red bone spurs flew over in a flash. One of them broke Yun Jioga's white bone spike into 2. The other one was aimed at Yun Jioga's chest. Yun Jioga's figure flickered, and after dodging the attack, he held the broken bone spear in his hand. Little guy, you actually dare to rob me? You're really courting death. The gray wolf stall owner laughed arrogantly. He has been setting up a stall in the ghost city for many years and has seen too many thieves. What he likes the most is this kind of business where the thief eats the thief. Yun Jioga did not speak. He shook the corpse control bell and continued to command the 2 broken bone spurs to attack the gray wolf stall owner. Tifiske, you really won't shed a tear until you see your coffin. The gray wolf stall owner shook his head, looking as if he didn't care about his opponent at all. But his hands were very cautious, and he immediately directed the 2 red bone spurs to meet the attack. These 2 bone spikes were forged from the bones of a Type 2 blazing lion. Although it wasn't fast, the flowing fire effect had a special skill. When the fiery red bone spur flew in front of Yun Jioga, the red light suddenly exploded, dazzling people's eyes. Yun Jioga accidentally blinded her eyes, and became a bit absent-minded. She didn't notice that a thin gray bone spur was hiding in the shadows and approaching her. The gray wolf stall owner revealed a proud smile, feeling that tonight's extra income was already safely in his storage bag. He didn't expect his waist to suddenly go numb, and he instantly fell to the ground. You're too careless, Zishang said to Yun Jioga while holding the gray bone spur. Yun Jioga's fighting style was still too similar to a spirit practitioner, being straightforward. In the past, she had the Thunder Snake Illusion Whip, a powerful totem that could attack and defend, so she naturally wasn't afraid of these sneak attacks. But she was now a small outer sect disciple of the Corpse sect, so she was at a disadvantage if she used her previous fighting style. I won't do it next time. Yunjioga also knew that she was a bit careless. These In Corp's sect outer sect disciples didn't have much cultivation, but they had a lot of tricks up their sleeves. If she continued like before, she would suffer sooner or later. Zishang saw that Yunjioga knew her mistake, so he didn't say anything more. With a hook of his finger, he took the Grey Wolf stall owner's storage bag and gave it to Yunjioga. After Yunjioga opened it, she first took out the Grey Bear Beast bone. Then, she glanced at the Grey Wolf stall owner's storage bag and realized that this guy was a rich man. Other than more than 3,000 spirit jades and a mess of pills and herbs, there was also a complete set of black and red bone spurs. He couldn't tell what material it was made of, but there were a total of 5 of them, and they were all in the shape of a sharp knife. The 3 deep blood grooves in the middle were very sharp, and there were secret patterns engraved on them. They were all stained with blood, and were actually refined using the blood refining method. This is a set of evil weapon, it has already been refined by him, you can't use it. Zishang glanced at the set of bone spurs. If the Grey Wolf stall owner used this set of bone spurs to deal with Yunjioga, the battle would have ended in an instant. To be able to use 5 bone spurs, he must at least be at the peak of chi condensation. With this kind of cultivation, he would definitely be a big shot in the first peak. However, Yunjioga was masked today, so he wasn't afraid of being recognized. Yunjioga didn't care about those pills and herbs, and he couldn't use the bone spurs. The only thing that was useful was the 3,000 spirit jades. Yunjioga put away the spirit jades without hesitation. According to Zishang, at this time, it was better to silence him. However, Yunjioga felt that this guy had some luck, and he might be useful if he was kept alive. When Yunjioga returned the storage bag to the Grey Wolf stall owner, he pulled down the Grey Wolf stall owner's cloak, revealing a handsome face with a strong personality. Although his eyes were closed, Yunjioga could still see his deep brows, high nose bridge, slightly tanned skin, and he looked very boorish, different from the handsome people of the Central Plains. If little fatty was here, he would definitely tell Yunjioga that this Grey Wolf stall owner was the strongest disciple of the first peak, Wolf Fang. It was said that he had already been appointed as the personal disciple of Elder White Bones, and was even given a foundation establishment pill. Wolf Fang also had a cave in White Bones Peak, and he rarely moved around the first peak. Today, he purposely came here to lure Yunjioga, but he didn't expect to be plotted against by Yunjioga. This guy has been poisoned. Yunjioga noticed that there was a faint pink color under the Grey Wolf stall owner's collarbone. It looked like countless peach blossom petals stacked together. However, it was really strange for such an incomparably enchanting color to appear on such a big man. Peach blossom charming bone poison, the unique aphrodisiac of the Joyous Union sect. The poison person must have intercourse with the female disciples of the sect for 7 days and 7 nights in order to get rid of the poison. Zishang could tell the source of the poison with a single glance. 7 days and 7 nights. Even a Jingu bang would be ground into a needle by water. Chapter 301. Yunjioga had also heard of this aphrodisiac. It was said that once it took effect, it would not even let off a sow. She counted the peach blossom petals on the Grey Wolf stall owner's body. There were a total of 9 petals. It could be seen that the Grey Wolf stall owner had been poisoned for a period of time, and it was unknown how he managed to survive. I heard that aside from stimulating a man's male hormones, this poison also has a special effect on certain materials, such as spirit bones. Is that true? Yunjioga asked Zishang. Why don't you take some from him and try it? Zishang could tell that Yunjioga's hands were itching to get rid of the poison. All right, for the sake of the 3,000 spirit jades, I will be merciful and save his life, Yunjioga said as she tore off the Grey Wolf vendor's clothes, revealing his muscular upper body. Needless to say, his figure was really not bad. His muscles contained strength, and one look and you could tell that he was a macho man. Zishang frowned when he saw Yunjioga taking off a man's clothes. He was extremely displeased. Yunjioge was busy studying the poison and did not realize that he had touched Zishang's reverse scale. This poison is truly interesting. Yunjioge's eyes shone with excitement. Generally, the way to dispel the aphrodisiac was to relieve it by masturbating. However, the peach blossom charming bone poison was the exact opposite. The more you masturbated, the deeper the poison would be. Even if you used up all your yang energy and broke your penis, it would still be useless. In the end, they would still die a horrible death from the poison. This gray wolf stall owner probably knew how powerful this poison was, so he had been holding it in after he was poisoned. Now, it wasn't hard to get rid of it. Central, Yunjioge quickly found the acupuncture points to detoxify. The thunder fire needle flashed with a pale purple light and pierced it from top to bottom, from left to right, and began to expel the poison. Drops of pink liquid seeped out of the gray wolf stall owner's wheat-colored skin, making him look like an adorable flower. Speaking of which, the gray wolf stall owner was quite lucky. The outer sex-in skill that he practiced had an innate cold-blooded effect. It had a certain suppressive effect on this kind of aphrodisiac, which was why he could endure it for so long. If an ordinary spiritualist was poisoned, he would have died of hunger and thirst long ago. After Yunjioge forced the peach blossom charming bone poison out, he carefully collected it in a jade bottle. Thank Big Sister. It's not a waste to spend 3,000 spirit jades. Yunjioge kindly helped the gray wolf stall owner find a safe place to hide before leaving. Wolf woke up very quickly. Before he could fully open his eyes, he immediately went to check his storage bag. C. As soon as he opened it, he discovered that all the spirit jades were gone. Even the big bone that he usually used as a mount for the bear beast was gone. Mother Cur, it must be the guy who bought the Gale wolf bone from me today. Wolf Fang's intuition had always been sharp. He had always felt that the big bone was very unusual. Unfortunately, no matter how hard he tried, he still couldn't find out the secret behind it, so he kept it with him as a stool. He didn't expect that it would be snatched away by someone who knew what it was. If I find out who it is, I will definitely have my revenge today. Wolf Fang secretly decided in his heart. It just so happened that those 4 Gale wolf bones were very conspicuous. As long as he dared to take them out and use them, he would definitely discover them. Wolf stood up from the ground. Suddenly, he felt that something was wrong with his body. He hadn't felt that relaxed feeling in a long time. He pulled down his lapel and looked down. He found that the peach blossom petal that the Hahuan sect woman had made under his collarbone had disappeared. Then, he reached down and touched the Jingu Bang, which was always bulging, also calmed down a lot. Could it be that the poison has been cured? Wolf was overjoyed. Previously, he had chased a Gale wolf into the bewildering beast forest of the Hahuan sect. He was careless and was sneak attacked by that group of little wenches, almost being toyed to death by them. He spent a lot of effort to escape. Unfortunately, he couldn't find someone who knew how to cure the poison. He could only circulate his qi every day to freeze 3 inches below his navel. The feeling of his little dick being frozen was not good. He thought that if he couldn't find anyone, he could only bite the bullet and find his future master, the White Bones Elder. He didn't expect that after being beaten up today, the poison would be cured. Originally, Wolf Fang wanted to find the robbers to settle the debt. Now, he suddenly felt that it would be very beneficial to know such a powerful expert. There were too few people in the Incorpse sect who could refine pills and cure poisons. Yunjioge didn't know that Wolf Fang was thinking of ways to hug her thigh. After she came back, she prepared a bottle of black ink and soaked the bones of the Tempest Wolf in it. These bones were very rare among the outer sect disciples. It would be too conspicuous to take it out directly. It had to be processed first. After Yunjioge processed the 4 bones of the Gale wolf, she took out the big bear beast bone and asked the treasure-seeking scorpion, "What kind of treasure is this? Why didn't it have any spiritual energy?" "I don't know. I just saw 2 spots in the middle that were particularly bright. It's definitely a treasure." The treasure-seeking scorpion waved its big pincers and said confidently, "Light spots." Yunjioge couldn't find any clues after turning it over and over, so she asked Zishang, "Do you see the light spots?" I am not a treasure-seeking demon. Xianxia was only interested in those things that could supplement his demonic power. Forget it. Let's cut it first. Jioge was a man of his word. He took out a knife, and under the guidance of the treasure-seeking scorpion, he cut off the 2 light spots. Then he slowly polished them. Finally, he found 2 thumb-sized beads in the gray bone seam. It was also gray and dull, without any spiritual energy, let alone light. This is the inner core of a pearlfish? Xianxia's eyes were sharp this time. He recognized it at a glance. Does a pearlfish also have an inner core? Although Jioge had never seen one before, the 2 stones in her hand didn't look like one. It's probably because it was petrified for too long that its spiritual energy was sealed. Xianxia took the small beads from Jioge's hand and gently squeezed them. Finally, there were only 2 white beads the size of rice grains left in her palm, shining with a soft light. This kind of pearlfish is the bear beast's favorite food. Only 2 out of 100,000 can cultivate an orb. I think this bear beast accidentally swallowed these 2 pearlfish into its stomach, but unfortunately, it was killed before it could digest them. In the end, the orb fused with the bear's bones. These were all Xianxia's guesses, but he felt that the truth shouldn't be too far off. What's the use of this inner core? Can it be eaten? Jioge swallowed her saliva. She felt that after practicing the 10,000 beast spell, she had become much more beastly. This inner core has been left for too long. You can't eat it. Xianxia was afraid that Jioge would have a problem eating it. He didn't like it either. Squeak, squeak, squeak. At this time, the treasure-seeking scorpion said embarrassedly, "Master, can you give my wife one? My wife is about to evolve recently." What is your wife going to evolve into? Is it also a treasure-seeking scorpion? Jioge asked. She remembered that treasure-seeking scorpions were born as spirit beasts. She had never heard of an ordinary scorpion evolving into one. Chapter 302. Yeah, I didn't expect my wife to have such an opportunity. If she evolves successfully, it will be much easier for us to have children in the future. The treasure-seeking scorpion had always wanted a child, and it would be best if it could look like its wife. It would definitely be a beautiful child. At that time, the family of 3 could not only search for treasures together, but also help its master fight, which would definitely make more money for revenge. I didn't expect the inner core of the pearlfish to have such benefits. Jioge sighed. She and Xianxia had used a lot of it, so it didn't matter if she gave it to the treasure-seeking scorpion. The treasure-seeking scorpion had been with her for a long time, and it had made contributions and worked hard, so it was not too much to ask for an inner core. She was about to agree when the little skeleton monkey squatting in the corner suddenly walked over. Its soul fire jumped crazily as it looked at the inner core on Jioge's hand, and its desire was overflowing. "Master," I asked first, "so it has to be behind me." The treasure-seeking scorpion immediately became nervous, really worried that Jioge would refuse it. After all, this new skeleton monkey helped its master get a lot of energy for cultivation, so it was much more useful than it. "You're just a skeleton, what are you doing? Go away." Jioge waved his hand. The skeleton didn't have an inner core, so it would be a waste to give it to it. The soul fire in the eyes of the little skeleton monkey immediately dimmed, and it looked like it could be extinguished at any time. Okay, I'll make a bucket of energy water for you to drink." Jioge felt that she really owed it. But there was no other way. Without this little skeleton monkey, she couldn't get so much energy, so she could only coax it. Crack crack. The little skeleton monkey shook its big head happily, and its soul fire jumped happily again. "Good boy, go back and stay. I'll make it for you later." After coaxing the little skeleton monkey back, Jioge rewarded the treasure-seeking scorpion with an inner core of the pearl fish and 2 bottles of cherry pills. After all, it was the one who found the inner core of the pearl fish. Although it couldn't use it, it still had to be encouraged. "Thank you, Master." The treasure-seeking scorpion was so happy that it almost popped up. Its previous masters all used it as a tool. No matter what treasures they found, they would not think of it. Instead, they would abuse it and its wife. Only this current master was the most generous. The treasure-seeking scorpion used its pincers to carry the inner core and the cherry pill into the sack to look for its wife. Wife, look, this is the inner core and sugar pill that master gave to me. Eat it and you'll become like me. The treasure-seeking scorpion placed the inner core in front of his wife and said proudly, "So many." The female scorpion's eyes widened. It had been preparing to evolve recently and was starving every day. It could not wait to stuff the inner elixir into its mouth, then open the bottle of cherry elixir and wolfed it down. The female scorpion stuffed one by one into its mouth, as if it hadn't eaten for hundreds of years. The treasure-seeking scorpion secretly swallowed its saliva and kept trying to persuade its wife, "Wife, eat slowly. No one is fighting with you." The female scorpion swallowed 19 cherry pills in one go. She only remembered the treasure-seeking scorpion when there was only one left. She immediately pushed it in front of him in embarrassment. "Honey, eat it." "I won't eat it." The treasure-seeking scorpion waved its pincers and pushed it back. It chuckled and said, "Eat more and nourish your body. Then, you can help me give birth to little scorpions." After the female scorpion ate the last cherry pill, it did not forget to slap the treasure-seeking scorpion shyly with its stinger. "You're dead." The treasure-seeking scorpion was slapped away, but its face was still filled with happiness. In the past, it had taken a fancy to its wife's strong body and powerful stinger. It had been a long time since it was slapped. It felt so good. Xianxia looked at the interaction between the treasure-seeking scorpion couple in amusement. The female scorpion had really changed a lot after being raised by her for a period of time. The scars from Lu Yunfei's abuse had completely disappeared. Its brown carapace emitted a faint purple glow. Its body was even thicker than the treasure-seeking scorpion, and its stinger was thick and long. It was obvious that it was well-nourished. "Fat scorpion, why don't you give the remaining pearl inner core to your wife?" Xianxia was quite confident in the female scorpion. She believed that in time, the female scorpion would definitely give birth to a group of healthy scorpion babies. If they were all treasure-seeking scorpions, then she would be rich. She would be able to collect treasures just by sitting down every day. "No need, one is enough." The treasure-seeking scorpion quickly shook its head. It hesitated for a moment, then said, "Master, why don't you give the one you gave birth to the fat rat?" Xianxia raised her eyebrows. The treasure-seeking scorpion had not been here for long, and the skinny rat had fallen asleep. The two of them should not be friends. "I have a feeling that my wife's evolution has something to do with that sleeping fat rat." The treasure-seeking scorpion could not explain that feeling. It felt that the fat rat should also be a treasure, but it could not see any clues. For such a situation to occur, either the fat rat was useless, or it was too awesome for the treasure-seeking scorpion to understand. The treasure-seeking scorpion felt that the latter was more likely. "All right, I'll give it to it." Xianxia took out the black fat rat from the cloth bag. The flower spirit pearl that was previously placed in its arms had disappeared, but it still showed no signs of awakening. "You stinking brat, when are you going to sleep? You ate so many of my treasures. Just wait to be a slave for the rest of your life." Xianxia rubbed the head of the black fat rat and thought of the fat baby it had transformed into. What on earth was this guy? It was really curious. Xianxia stuffed the pearlfish's inner core into the black fat rat's arms. It seemed to feel that this was a good thing, and it hugged the inner core and curled up even tighter. Xianxia ravaged it again, then put it back into the cloth bag. She took out the little female parasite for inspection. The pink cocoon's color had deepened a lot, and it was a light cherry red. The life aura coming from it was also very stable, but there was no sign of it hatching. Xianxia crushed a cherry pill and put it on the cocoon. After it finished absorbing and recuperating, she put it back into the cloth bag. It was already late at night. After the treasure-seeking scorpion couple had their fill, they snuggled together and fell asleep. Xianxia was tired after being busy for most of the night. She yawned and was about to go back to bed to rest. When she turned around, she saw Zishang standing silently behind her. His handsome face was so dark that it seemed like it was about to drip water. "Are you trying to scare me to death in the middle of the night?" Yun Jioga patted her chest. Although Zishang's image was very beautiful, he was also very sinister. When he didn't speak, he was quite scary. "You're scared? Then why were you so bold when you took off the man's clothes just now?" Zishang's gray eyes were dark. The corners of his mouth were tightly pursed, and his whole body was full of the aura of a king who was not in a good mood. "If the king was not happy, you little slut, hurry up and kneel down to apologize." "What do you mean by taking off the man's clothes?" "I was treating a patient and saving a person. Besides, I received a consultation fee of 3,000 spirit jades." Yun Jioga would not admit this crime even if she was beaten to death. Chapter 303. I remember that I was the one who defeated that guy. Zishang's eyes were cold. The 3,000 spiritual jades should have been his spoils of war, not a consultation fee. We're so familiar with each other. Why are you so calculative? Come, let's dual cultivate for a bit. It'll be your compensation." Yun Jioga winked at Zishang and pushed him onto the bed. "Do it yourself." Zishang lay on the bed and stared at Yun Jioga with his gray eyes. "I'll do it myself." Yun Jioga went up without hesitation. At first, it was a little painful. What could she do? Zishang was just too big. Fortunately, he only had one stick in his human form. If 2 sticks came at her at once, she would definitely die. After Yun Jioga got used to it, she began to cultivate seriously. Her long, slender, and fair legs moved up and down. She looked very alluring. At first, Zishang felt like he was watching a show, but soon he couldn't take it anymore. However, Yun Jioga seemed to be enjoying herself. It made him so angry that his teeth itched. Too slow. Zishang's eyes were dark, and he felt like a storm was brewing. "It's not like we're in a hurry. Come at me if you can." Yun Jioga panted slightly. This position was very strenuous. It wasn't easy to be fast. Zishang's gray eyes flashed dangerously. He grabbed Yun Jioga's slender waist and lifted her up. He lifted her up forcefully and landed heavily on the ground. The huge force pierced through Yun Jioga like a javelin, stimulating her spine like a bolt of electricity. Yun Jioga trembled. Her strength was instantly sucked away by the strong feeling, and her body went limp. "You're going to die." Yun Jioga pressed her hands against Zishang's chest and glared at him. Unfortunately, her slightly red eyes didn't have any killing power. "Be serious." Zishang's face was stern, and he slapped her mercilessly. Then, he held her waist and began to exert force. Every time he lifted her waist, Zishang would move back slightly. After putting as much distance between them as possible, he put her down. The violent aura was like a flood dragon in the sea, and the frequency was like rain on a banana leaf. Pure energy gathered in Yun Jioga's dantian and flowed through all the meridians in her body. Slow down." Yun Jioga's voice was hurried, and his words were stuttering. It was impossible for him to maintain his previous leisurely demeanor. Today, break through to the 4th level of Qi Disciple in one go. If you can't reach it, don't even think about coming down. Zishang did not have any protective feelings for the fairer sex. He was determined to teach her a lesson today. "I just broke through the 3rd level of Qi refinement last month." Yun Jioga was about to cry. Her current accumulation was not enough for her to make another breakthrough. If she wanted to advance, she could only rely on the aura of the purple deceased sword. Wouldn't that mean that she would die in this place? Thank me, you will become the outer sect disciple with the fastest cultivation speed. Zishang's gray eyes were dark and gloomy. The corners of his light-colored lips curled upwards, making him look indescribably cold and demonic. Yun Jioga's legs trembled and his body went limp. It wasn't because of the sun, but because he was scared. She felt that she would definitely become very, very miserable. Outside the house, the Lu sisters were endlessly hesitating. Sister, senior brother Yunjiao has not left the house for 3 days and 3 nights. Could something have happened to him? Lu Tian'er asked worriedly. Previously, when Yunjiao went into seclusion to cultivate, he would inform the Lu sisters in advance. This time, he went into seclusion for 3 days without a word, making the 2 sisters extremely worried. One had to know that they were about to run out of Yin energy pills and gathering Yin pills. What would they do if they couldn't find someone to collect the pills from? They had already tasted the taste of good pills. If they were to go back and eat low-level pills, they would probably not be able to adapt. Don't be afraid. Senior brother Yunjiao has the protection of the 1,000-year-old corpse. He will be fine. Lu Mu was not worried about this. There was no one in the outer sect who was a match for the 1,000-year-old corpse. Sister, do you think senior brother Yunjiao will help us refine the bones? Lu Tian'er asked again. The 2 sisters came to find Yunjiao not only to get the pills, but also to ask Yunjiao to help refine 2 spirit bones. That was why they were standing guard at the door. Let's ask first. Lu Mu did not have much confidence in this. It would be better if they only asked Yunjiao, but they also needed the 1,000-year-old corpse this time. They were afraid that it would not be so simple. Just when the 2 sisters were feeling uneasy and wondering if they should send another message, the door finally opened. Come in. Yunjiao's voice was weak and hoarse, as if he had been shouting for a long time. The Lu sisters hurriedly entered the room and did not forget to close the door. Senior brother Yunjiao, what happened to you? Lu Tian'er was shocked when she saw Yunjiao's swollen eyes and his body was hollowed out. Nothing, sit. Yunjiao weakly asked the 2 sisters to sit down. Senior brother, you're in the 4th stage of qi training? Lu Mei's eyes became sharper, and she immediately noticed that Yunjiao was different. Really? Lu Tian'er's eyes widened. She remembered that Yunjiao had just advanced to the 3rd stage of qi training when he gave them the pills last month. It had only been a month, and he advanced again. Yes, I'm in the 4th stage of qi training. Yunjiao said weakly, not happy at all. Senior brother, how did you do it? Just. Lu Tian'er asked impatiently. If they could learn this secret method, they would be able to go back and take revenge sooner. Lu Mu also wanted to know, but she was more cautious than her sister. She would think before asking. Once again, she discovered something unusual. Yunjiao's 1,000-year-old corpse sat silently in the shadows. His usually expressionless handsome face revealed a satisfied expression, and he would occasionally look at Yunjiao with possessive eyes. This expression reminded Lu Mei of a male beast when he conquered a female. Her heart skipped a beat, and she immediately knew how Yunjiao advanced quickly. She and her sister could not learn this method. Seeing that Lu Tian'er wanted to continue asking, Lu Mei quickly pulled her back and said with a smile, Sister, didn't you say you found 2 good spirit bones and wanted to ask senior brother Yunjiao for help? Why don't you take them out quickly? Lu Tian'er was stunned. Although she did not know why her sister didn't let her ask, she followed along and changed the topic. Yes, senior brother Yunjiao, a few days ago we found 2 earth spirit mouse bones at Jean Lin's place. Senior brother, please help us take a look. As she spoke, she took out 2 earthy yellow bones from her storage bag. They were 3 feet long, and the surface of the bones glowed with a faint yellow light. Although they were not very thick, the light was quite full. Yunjiao picked up the spirit bones and examined them carefully. He nodded. These bones are not bad. The sisters had earth spirit roots, so the bones of the earth spirit mouse were very suitable for them. Chapter 304. And these 2 spirit bones cost us all our savings. Now we can't even find a Yin spirit master to help us carve runes. Lu Linger pitifully said. This earth spirit mouse burrowed very quickly and was very hard to catch. 2 spirit bones cost them all their savings. I still have 1,000 contribution points. If you want, I can lend it to you first. These bones are so good, it's better to find a Yin spirit master to refine them. Yunjiao said. Yin spirit masters were a branch of refiners. They were experts at crafting all kinds of evil runes. They were also the most common refiners in the evil and demonic sections. To become the Yin Spirit Master, not only did one need to have talent in crafting, they also needed money to learn runes. Normally large sects would need to spend a lot of resources to train one. The Yin Corps sect had their own refining hall with 12 Yin Spirit Masters. For level 5 Yin Spirit Masters were there to serve the inner sect disciples. The rest were for low-level disciples to refine. But even so, the fees were very expensive. Carving a rune cost 500 contribution points. If an outer sect disciple wanted to get a good set of bone spurs, they would need to save up for a long time. 1,000 contribution points is not enough. The Lu sisters bitterly shook their heads. If they wanted to refine this set of bone spurs, they would need at least 4,000 contribution points. It was too expensive, they couldn't afford it. Then what do you plan to do? Yunjioga believed that the two sisters did not come to find him just to complain about being poor. Senior Yunjio, can you let Senior Yin Corpse help us refine it? Lu Tian'er carefully asked. The 1,000-year-old corpse's Yin Qi was very strong. If he spat out a few mouthfuls of Yin Qi, the quality of the spirit bone would immediately increase by 1 level. At that time, even if he didn't refine runes, he would still be able to display the greatest power. You can ask him yourself. Yunjioga's face immediately sunk. That damn Zishang forced her to dual cultivate for 3 days and 3 nights. Although her cultivation went up, she lost half of her life. Now she couldn't even close her legs. Just thinking about dual cultivation made her scalp tingle. She didn't want to talk to that pervert at all. If senior brother feels troubled, then just say it. There is no need to make fun of us sisters. Lu said with a bitter face. Although these 1,000-year-old corpses were powerful, they were not powerful enough to communicate with humans. To a large extent, the contractor's attitude represented them. That's right, I'm indeed in a difficult position. You guys don't know how perverted this 1,000-year-old corpse is. Rather than asking him for help, you might as well ask those Yin spiritualists for free. Yunjioga took the opportunity to ridicule. She wasn't purposely making things difficult for the Lu sisters. It was just that apart from being at the level of an old corpse, everything else about Zishang was fake. The Yin Qi on his body was used to show off. How could he use it to refine the bones of the Lu sisters? We were rude. The Lu sisters smiled awkwardly. Although they were disappointed in their hearts, they did not dare to complain. They were afraid that Yunjio would be angry, so they still had to smile and apologize, which made them look a little cute. Yunjioga originally wanted to vent his anger, but seeing them like this, he felt a little embarrassed, so he said, "How about this? Leave the 2 spirit bones here first, and I'll think of a way." She still wanted to use the 2 sisters to deal with Su Junqing, so she had to give them some benefits when necessary. Moreover, improving their strength would also be helpful to him. Because in the Yin Corps sect, the 2 sisters were the only people she trusted. Thank you, senior martial brother. The Lu sisters happily left the spirit bone behind and took their leave. When the 2 sisters returned to the house, Lu Tian'er whispered, "Sister, why didn't you let me ask senior brother Yunjio about his secret cultivation method?" "Silly girl, you didn't see senior's face just now. He really ate and drank to his heart's content." Lu Tian'er gave her sister a look, letting her understand it herself. Lu Tian'er immediately understood that senior brother Yunjio's cultivation was obtained by selling his body. She could not help but swallow her saliva, and said with a little fear, 7 days and 7 nights, it's not that easy to advance quickly. Lu Tian'er had always been a little jealous of Yunjio's good life. Now that she saw that he was not having an easy time, she was a little happy. "Sister, we also need to work harder. We can't be left behind by senior brother Yunjio." Lu Tian'er had a serious expression. The relationship between the 2 sisters and Yunjio was one of mutual benefit. If they were left too far behind by him, they would not be able to follow him in the future. "Yes, you're right." Lu Tian'er nodded solemnly and said, "Then let's start cultivating. Since dual cultivation is faster, let's do it as well." After saying that, Lu Tian'er took off the clothes on her body, revealing a fair and smooth body that was as beautiful as white jade. But Following that, Lu also took off the clothes on her body. Her jade-like skin was filled with crisscrossing dark red whip marks. It was simply a ghastly sight. Especially on her left shoulder blade, there were two small black and red words, slave. One look and one could tell that it was branded with a branding iron and evil blood ink. This kind of slave imprint went deep into the bone marrow. Unless the person who made the imprint was killed and wiped with his blood, it would never be removed. Lu Tian'er's eyes were slightly red. Her slender fingers trembled as she caressed the shameful imprint on her sister's back. Every time she saw the scars on her sister's body, her heart would be filled with hatred and anger. Back then, her uncle said that he had found a new master for them. She did not expect that he would sell them to an evil old monster in exchange for a rank 3 upper-grade rhinoceros spirit bone. That evil old monster was a pervert. His methods of torturing and humiliating people were endless. After he exchanged the two sisters, he started to torture her sister and left her untouched. That evil old monster's mentality was as if he had bought two identical toys. First he played with one, then he played with the next. Lu Tian'er watched her sister being tortured. Day and night, she thought of helping her escape. Lu was also worried that her sister would suffer after her death. She also wanted to save her sister from the abyss of suffering. Unfortunately, the evil old monster had placed a restriction on the two sisters. They were unable to use their spiritual energy and could not use the Lu family's unique paper doll evil technique. Later on, Lu Tian'er accidentally discovered her special physique. Only then did she think of a way to escape. If you did not give me your primordial yin, my cultivation speed would definitely be faster now. Lu always felt that it was a pity that her sister had given her primordial yin to her in order to escape. It was such a waste. Sister, I am willing to give it to you. It is better than giving it to those disgusting, stinky men. Lu Tian'er hugged her sister's naked body. The two sisters were naked. They quietly hugged each other. There was only the purest kinship between them. They were twin sisters. They had been together since they were born. They had enjoyed blessings and suffered together. They must live and die together. Okay, let's start cultivating. Lu loosened her arms and gently patted her sister's head. My goal this time is to advance to Chi Disciple Level 3. Lu Tian'er smiled sweetly. She sat down cross-legged and started cultivating with her sister. Chapter 305. Xianxia didn't know that her advancement to the 4th level of Chi Disciple had greatly stimulated the Lu sisters' motivation to cultivate. At this moment, she was seriously studying the two Earth Spirit Mouse bones, thinking about how to refine them. You can't get these two bones? Xianxia asked. It wasn't that he looked down on Xianxia, but this girl's attainments in runes were terrible. It's not your fault if I can't refine them. Xianxia was still angry and decided to ignore Xianxia, this pervert. Fine, then you refine them yourself. Xianxia wasn't angry and decided to watch her torment herself. Xianxia carefully studied the bones and found that they didn't have any advantages in terms of attack, speed, and weight. The only advantage was that the Earth's spiritual power was connected to the ground, so it could travel freely in the ground. She instantly thought of the gray thorn that the gray wolf vendor used to sneak attack. It was indeed difficult to guard against it when it was hidden in the shadows. It seemed that these bones still had to take the route of sneak attack and plot. Xianxia had an idea, so it was easy to do. Although she didn't know how to refine tools or carve runes, she knew how to refine pills. All things in the world were the same. The Lu sisters only wanted to improve the quality of the spirit bone, not to forge it into a divine tool. They just needed to refine the Earth's spiritual power inside. Xianxia immediately opened the small bronze cauldron and threw the two bones inside. She also threw in a few spirit herbs that could increase the concentration of Earth's spiritual power and started to refine. An hour later, the originally 3 feet long Earth spirit bone was only 7 inches long. The yellow light on it was extremely rich, ensuring that it could move freely in the soil. Yunjioga looked at the 4 short spirit bones and felt that something was missing. She thought for a moment and dripped a drop of the peach blossom charming bone poison she collected from the gray wolf vendor. After the light yellow earth spirit bone absorbed the pink poison, the light suddenly soared and then disappeared in an instant. The originally yellow bone became gray without any light, as if it had completely lost its spiritual power. However, Yunjioga knew that the peach blossom charming bone poison completely stimulated the earth's spiritual power of the spirit bone and then buried it deeply. In this way, the explosive power of the earth spirit bone was stronger, and after being concentrated, it would be poisoned. Of course, the aphrodisiac that he had absorbed was not as potent as before. Although it wouldn't make people want to have sex with the sow the moment they saw it, it would still make the enemy's blood and chi surge and cause their minds to be in chaos. It could also be used to catch them off guard at critical moments. Yunjioga was very satisfied with the bone that he had refined. After putting it into a paper bag, he looked at Zishang with pride. You said I couldn't do it, but I did it anyway. Using this bone as a medicinal ingredient to refine? Not only is your idea interesting, it can also play to your strengths and avoid your weaknesses. Not bad, not bad. Zishang was the first to affirm Yunjioga's idea. Of course. Your sister is not someone who can't do anything without you. But haven't you forgotten something? Zishang pointed to the corner of the room. There was a stone vat there, and it was covered tightly with a lid, making it airtight. Yunjioga was stunned. Only now did she remember that her precious gale wolf bone was still soaking in the water. Yunjioga quickly opened the lid and found that the 4 cyan gale wolf bones had turned black. The wind's spiritual energy on the surface had fused into the bone marrow. Even if the gray wolf stall owner stood there, he wouldn't be able to recognize it. Although the color was a little darker, the bone structure did not change. Otherwise, she would have cried her eyes out. Yunjioga carefully took out the gale wolf bones. These wolf bones were 2 grades higher than the Lu sisters' earth spirit bones. Not only were they very fast, but they also had strong attack power. There was no need to refine them. They could be used directly by carving runes on them. Thinking of this, Yunjioga couldn't help but sneak a glance at Zishang. This guy was the real expert in carving runes. Sigh, how could she forget about these 4 bones? Even if she wanted to beg Zishang now, she couldn't bring herself to do it. Let me see. Zishang didn't want to put on airs. After all, he had ruthlessly taught Yunjioga a lesson in the past 3 days. Now, he had to give her a taste of sweetness. Yunjioga quickly handed the bones over and said, I want to forge these 4 bones into a set of bone spikes. She planned to carve the runes of sharp metal and broken bone on each bone to increase its attack power. Apart from these 2 basic runes, she also wanted to carve the runes of hallucination, poison, paralysis needle, flying escape, and bloodthirst on the 4 bones. When the time came, it would be covered in a dense fog, which would make it difficult to hide. The poison gas would spread in all directions, and it would be an area of effect attack. The paralysis needle could be used for sneak attacks, and the bloodthirst could not only increase its attack power, but it could also restore its health. It was simply perfect. I can't carve that many. Zishang's face darkened. This girl's requirements were too much. All right, then you can carve whatever you want. Yunjioga's face was full of regret. These gale wolf bones were still not enough. How good would it be if she could obtain a divine tier spirit bone? Of course, she was just fantasizing about it. With the current level of the treasure-seeking scorpion, it was impossible for it to find a divine tier bone. Zishang finally carved the broken bone, hallucination, poison, and bloodthirst runes. These 4 runes blended perfectly with the runes on the bone, leaving no trace at all. Zishang, you're really amazing. Yunjioga took the 4 bone spikes lovingly and was not stingy with her compliments. Zishang's handsome face revealed a matter-of-fact expression. Was there even a need for compliments? Come, let's find a place to try it out. Yunjioga couldn't wait to try out her new magic tool. It was already late at night. Even the evil sex would rarely be active in the middle of the night. Everywhere was quiet. Xianxia and Xianxia arrived at a wasteland. After confirming that there was no one around, they began to try out the gale wolf bone spikes. Xianxia pinched her fingers, and the 4 black bone spikes silently floated up, perfectly hidden in the darkness. Go! Xianxia waved her finger. A large rock in front of her shattered without a sound, and the 4 bone spikes flashed and returned to her side. The attack speed was very fast, as expected of the name Gale. The other effects were also very good, better than what Xianxia had imagined. Xianxia experimented until the sky was slightly bright. Only then did she return to her house to rest, satisfied. The next afternoon, Xianxia got up, organized a few bottles of condensation pills, wrapped the earth spirit bone, and prepared to look for the Lu sisters. At that moment, little fatty Wang Lin came to find her first. Senior brother Xianxia, I've already found out what Su Juanqing's mission is. Oh, what mission is it? Xianxia asked even though she already knew the answer. His mission is to lead our Peak 2 disciples below Qi Refinement Stage 5 to a small mystic realm for training. When little fatty said this, his usually carefree face showed a hint of worry. Chapter 306. Is there anything special about this little secret realm? Xianxia asked. The environment inside the little secret realm is very dangerous. There are barren hills and unruly rivers, and there are miasma and fierce beasts everywhere. Also, only cultivators below the 5th layer of Qi refinement can enter. Before little fatty could finish, Xianxia interrupted him. Isn't Su Juanqing a Foundation establishment cultivator? How can he enter this secret realm? Our Corps sect has a secret technique that allows him to suppress his cultivation to enter. But even so, there is a limit to the number of people who can enter. Normally, there are no more than 5 people. Everyone has to lead the team, otherwise the secret realm will collapse, little fatty explained. All the spiritual energy in this little secret realm was used to feed the human-faced peaches, so the realm was very unstable. If someone with a high cultivation went in, it would collapse. This human-faced peach was a good thing. Apart from being full of qi, it also contained the aura of flesh and blood. It was the best thing for the Corps sect to feed their corpses. Especially when the corpses advanced, it was a must-have item. So every year, the Corps sect would send disciples into the secret realm to collect these human-faced peaches. Although Su Juanqing was doted on by Elder Mo Hua, he could not have everything he wanted. There were many things that he had to fight for himself. When Xianxia heard this, her hands started to tremble. She had thought that Su Juanqing would enter as a Foundation establishment cultivator. At that time, she could only ask Zishang to kill him. Who would have thought that he would suppress his cultivation to enter? This way, she would have the chance to kill him personally. Xianxia suppressed the excitement in her heart and continued to ask, is there anything worth paying attention to in this little secret realm? There are many things worth paying attention to. However, the main point of this tempering exercise is the competition between the various outer sect peaks. Only the peak with the most human-faced peaches will be able to emerge victorious. At that time, the disciple who leads the team will be rewarded. I have a name list here. You can take a look later. Also, the senior brother leading the team will arrange for us to do some missions, so it is important to hold on to his thigh. As little fatty spoke, he handed a name list to Xianxia. How many contribution points for this information? Xianxia glanced at the name list. Su Juanqing's name was actually at the top. Next were Broom Chen and his subordinates, as well as the Lu sisters and little fatty. There were also a few hundred low-level disciples. Their names were densely packed together. Although she didn't know most of these disciples, it was always good to have a list in hand. There's no need for money this time. However, little fatty Wang Lin shook his head, then smiled ingratiatingly. As long as senior brother Xianxia takes good care of me when you're training in the secret realm, it'll be fine. I can't guarantee that. You should just obediently collect your contribution points. Xianxia wouldn't even have time to kill people, So how would he have the time to take care of little Fatty? Don't worry, senior brother Cloud9. I have a plan to deal with this as well. I don't need your help all the time. However, if there's anything that requires cooperation, I hope that you can consider me first, little Fatty hurriedly said. He couldn't entrust his life completely to Yunjioga. All right. Yunjioga didn't know many people in the Een Corps sect, but Lil Fatty was one of them. If they really encountered something that required cooperation, she would definitely think of Lil Fatty first. There are still 3 months left until the arcane dungeon opens. Senior brother Yunjio should take this opportunity to level up. Little Fatty added. Yunjioga had concealed his cultivation level and was still at Qi refinement level 3. Oh, by the way, let me know if you have any good spirit bones. It was always good to refine another set of magic tools. All right. Little Fatty nodded and took his leave. Yunjioga sent Little Fatty off and went to find the Lu sisters. After giving them the refined earth spirit bones, he also informed them of Little Fatty's news. Then do we continue to cultivate in seclusion or kill Een moths? Lu Tian felt that there was not enough time. She wanted to refine more Een gathering pills as backup, but she also wanted more time to cultivate. We just need to kill Een moths again. The most important thing right now is to prepare the items needed to enter the arcane dungeon. Items to recover spiritual power, expel poison and ward off evil, and dispel miasma have to be prepared in advance. Yunjioga had the experience of attacking the bloodthirsty sect, so he knew that these items were very necessary. Senior brother, make a list for us. We'll prepare according to the materials. Lu Mei was originally a little nervous. However, when she saw that Yunjioga had arranged everything in order, she felt a lot more at ease. I'll give you the list later. Kill more Een ghosts during this time and earn more contribution points. The items that Yunjioga wanted were not cheap. They could not be exchanged without enough contribution points. In the next few days, Yunjioga and the Lu sisters killed Een ghosts crazily. After exchanging a lot of contribution points, they began to buy all kinds of materials. Some well-informed disciples also began to make preparations. The atmosphere of the entire mountain peak became tense. 2 months later, the Lu sisters successfully entered the 3rd level of Qi Disciple. Yunjioga entered the 5th level of Qi Disciple. He advanced to the 5th level of Qi Disciple in less than 5 months. This kind of cultivation speed was very shocking among the outer sect disciples. In order not to attract attention, Yunjioga maintained his cultivation at the 3rd level of Qi Disciple. The Lu sisters also chose to hide their true cultivation. The strength that they revealed was the 2nd level of Qi Disciple. Just as Yunjioga and the others were nervously preparing, the disciples who would lead the 5 outer sect peaks were finally determined. The 2nd peak was led by Su Junqing. The disciple leading the 3rd peak was called Bai Lan. She was a female disciple of the Ink Flower Peak and could be considered as Su Junqing's senior sister. The disciples leading the 4th and 5th peaks were a pair of brothers. The older brother was Han Xiaodong and the younger brother was Han Xiaoxi. Although the 2 of them were only at the peak of Qi Disciple, they were people personally appointed by the sect master Ye Ziqing. Adding the 2 brothers working together, the 4th and 5th peaks naturally formed an alliance. No one dared to look down on them. Among the disciples who were leading the group, the most unexpected one was actually Wolf Fong leading the group. This direct disciple appointed by the White Bones Elder had successfully reached foundation establishment 2 months ago. After 2 months of seclusion to consolidate his cultivation, he took the initiative to lead the team to participate in this experience. The White Bones Elder had always been optimistic about this disciple. Naturally, he agreed without hesitation. He even replaced the person that had already been selected. 5 peaks, more than 5,000 disciples squeezed into a small secret realm to pick peaches. How strange. Yunjioga felt that this secret realm was not so simple. It's not your problem that it's strange. Don't you want to kill Su Junqing? Do you want to see how strong his Een corpse is? If possible, Zishang hoped that Yunjioga would personally kill Su Junqing. Of course, let's go tonight. I heard from little Fatty that Su Junqing goes to bed on the 1st and 15th of every month. When the time comes, he should leave his corpse in the cave. Yun Jioga had long wanted to investigate Su Junqing's background. She also wanted to see if Yi Yunji had really been refined into a corpse. It was a pity that Zi Shang was afraid that she would act impulsively, so he didn't want her to go. Chapter 307. Once you find Yunji, bring back the treasure map. Zi Shang reminded him. Understood. How could Yun Jioga forget the treasure map? In the dead of night, the full moon hung high in the sky and the cool moonlight fell on the ground. Zi Shang and Yun Jioga restrained their auras and followed the small path to sneak into Inkflower Peak. There was a defensive alarm around Inkflower Peak. If one didn't have an inner sect disciple token, they would immediately alert the people of Inkflower Peak if they entered. But with Zi Shang here, Yun Jioga didn't need to worry about this barrier. The two of them smoothly entered Inkflower Peak. Su Junqing's cave was at the middle of Inkflower Peak where spiritual energy was abundant. The cave was currently closed. It was clear that the master was not inside. There is a restriction in the cave. Yun Jioga touched the cave door and felt a power rebound. If he forced his way in, Su Junqing would immediately know. It's just a small restriction, I'll just seal it. Zi Shang wasn't afraid of sect restrictions, not to mention a small cave restriction. He placed his palm on the cave door and a purple mist seeped in. Then the cave door opened. Yun Jioga quickly walked in, not forgetting to close the cave door. He saw that Su Junqing's cave was decorated very luxuriously. There was a thick red carpet on the ground and night pearls on the walls. The entire cave had a total of 3 rooms. After Yun Jioga checked them one by one, he didn't find Yunji. He was a bit surprised in his heart. Did Su Junqing bring her to Inkflower Palace? Elder Inkflower liked to be extravagant, so he built a palace on top of Inkflower Peak to enjoy. The favored male and female disciples all had their own rooms in the palace. But Inkflower Palace's atmosphere wasn't suitable for cultivation, so most of the disciples stayed in their caves and left their treasures in their caves. Su Junqing had just gained a foothold in the Corpse sect, and the spirit female corpses he refined were very eye-catching, so he didn't bring his corpses with him, afraid that others would covet them. He shouldn't have brought them to Inkflower Peak. There's a dark room here. Zi Shang looked around the room and found a clue. The qi behind the wall was very dense. There was clearly something fishy going on. Yun Jioga knocked on the wall and found that the switch was a luminous pearl at the corner of the wall. He pressed it hard. The wall silently opened to both sides, revealing an exquisitely decorated room. The room was not big, and there was only a large mahogany bed with cloud patterns. The red curtains on the bed were embroidered with mandarin ducks playing in the water and a picture of 100 years of love. Vaguely, a woman in a red palace dress could be seen lying on the bed. That woman did not have any aura of life. She was clearly a corpse. It was very likely that she was Yunji. Yun Jioga quickly walked to the bed and was about to lift the curtains. Suddenly, the woman in the red palace dress bounced up from the bed. Her jet-black fingernails brought with them a chilly wind as they reached for her neck. Yun Jioga's reaction was extremely fast. As he retreated, he struck out with a energy palm. A palm glowing with a gloomy gray light blasted toward the woman's chest. Unexpectedly, the woman in the palace dress did not evade and took Yun Jioga's palm strike head-on. Yun Jioga's force palm didn't send his opponent flying. Instead, it stuck tightly to the woman's body. Following that, an extremely cold aura was released from the woman's body. It entered her body through Yun Jioga's palm and instantly froze her. Yun Jioga couldn't move. She could only watch as the woman's jet-black fingernails stabbed toward her neck. Seeing that Yun Jioga was about to be hit, Zi Shang finally made his move. He raised his hand and released an incomparably dense purple mist that trapped the woman in the palace dress, only leaving her head outside the purple mist. He then slapped his palm on Yun Jioga's back, forcing the cold aura out of his body. Yun Jioga shivered and finally caught her breath. Spirit physique, It really is different. Zishang praised as he looked at the corpse in front of him that could use the yin qi in its body to attack its opponent. If he wasn't here today, Yun Jioga would have suffered a large loss. Yi Yunji. Yun Jioga saw the red mole between the woman's eyebrows and immediately confirmed her identity. Yi Yunji didn't react to what Yun Jioga called her. Her beautiful eyes flashed with a cold and vicious light as she stared at Yun Jioga and Zishang. It was as if she wanted to charge up and bite them to death. Yin corpses don't react to anyone other than their master's orders. She should have received Su Juanqing's order to attack everyone that entered this room. Zishang had acted as an old corpse for a long time and understood the Yin corpse's emotions very well. Yi Yunji, do you still remember your brother, Yi? Yun Jioga didn't give up and took out a bronze key. After opening it, there was a small knife that shone with a sharp light. This was the token that Yi Yu had given her, and it was also the token that allowed her to cut open Yi Yunji's flesh and take the treasure map. Yi Yunji didn't react to the key. She just wanted to break free and kill these intruders. Although Yun Jioga already knew that this would happen, she still felt very disappointed. Hurry up and take the treasure map from her. If too much time passes, Su Juanqing will sense it. If he brings Elder Mo Hua here, it will be troublesome. Zishang reminded her. These Yin Corpse sect elders were not easy to deal with. If they were exposed, they wouldn't be able to survive. Give me her left arm. Yun Jioga helplessly gave up on the absurd idea of waking Yi Yunji and prepared to take out the treasure map. Zishang pinched his finger and the purple mist brought out Yi Yunji's left arm. Yun Jioga rolled up Yi Yunji's sleeve and used the knife to stab into her white skin. He never thought that it would bounce back. Use a bit of spiritual energy. Zishang reminded him. Yun Jioga poured his spiritual energy into the knife and used all his strength to pierce through Yunji's skin. It felt like he was stabbing into dry leather. The cut revealed dark muscles, but not a single drop of blood came out. No matter how much Yi Yunji looked like a living person, her body was already a Yin corpse. Her muscles and meridians had already turned into iron bones. Zay, it really is a good Yin corpse. Zishang sighed with emotion. Normal Yin corpses needed to go through several trials before they could reach the threshold of iron bones. But Yi Yunji had been refined in one try. Moreover, the cold Yin qi in her body could automatically attack enemies. In the future, it would be even more powerful. It was no wonder that Su Juanqing wanted to lead them to the small secret realm. If he could find enough human-faced peaches, he could help Yi Yunji reach the middle stage of foundation establishment. Like this, he would be able to stabilize his footing in the Yin Corpse sect. Yun Jioga did not have the same emotions as Zishang. Instead, she felt sorrow for Yi Yunji. When she was alive, Su Juanqing had ruined her family and she couldn't even keep her child. After she died, she had to be refined into a Yin corpse by Su Juanqing to protect him and fight for him. How sorrowful was this? She had to get rid of Su Juanqing, that heartless bastard, to take revenge for Yi Yunji. Chapter 308. Yun Jioga made up her mind and increased her strength, quickly cutting a large hole in Yi Yunji's arm, revealing the treasure map seal buried inside. Yun Jioga was about to take out the treasure map when Zishang reached out his hand to stop her. Something's wrong. What's wrong? Yun Jioga was puzzled. The treasure map was wrong, she hadn't even taken it out yet. How could he know it was wrong? Her expression isn't right. Zishang indicated Yun Jioga to look at Yi Yunji's face. Yun Jioga looked up and was instantly shocked. The originally wooden expression and dull eyes of Yi Yunji actually revealed a pained expression. The strongest point of the Yin corpses was that they didn't feel any pain or fear, they were completely battle machines. Yi Yunji's expression was too strange, too strange. Could it be that she hadn't died and still had her consciousness from when she was alive? What is going on? Yun Jioga looked at Zishang. I'm not clear, it should be related to the treasure map. Zishang had never been clear on the material of the treasure map, he only knew that there was a mysterious power contained within. Now it seemed like this mysterious power had a certain effect on Yi Yunji, who had become a Yin corpse. Yi Yunji, can you hear me? I'm here to help Yi Yu save you, Yun Jioga said in a hurried voice. Yi Yunji's face revealed a pained and confused expression. Yi Yu is your little brother. Your Yi family was exterminated by Su Junqing and only your little brother Yi Yu survived. He has always been looking for you, he has never given up. With Yun Jioga's words, Yi Yunji's pained expression became fierce. There seemed to be a small flame silently lighting up in his pitch-black eyes. When Yun Jioga said, Su Junqing not only killed your child, he also refined you into a Yin corpse. He made you protect him and help him fight. He also wanted you to capture Yi Yu and refine him into a Yin corpse. Yun Jioga had casually said this to provoke Yi Yunji, but he never thought that it would hit the nail on the head. The flame in Yi Yunji's eyes was instantly ignited, just like the soul fire of a little skeleton monkey. Her mouth opened and closed, letting out a very shaky voice filled with unforgettable hatred. Su Junqing. Yes, it's Su Junqing. Yun Jioga was so excited that he almost jumped up when he saw Yi Yunji's reaction. Oh no, Su Junqing is coming back. Let's go, Zishang suddenly said. Yi Yunji was Su Junqing's Yin corpse. If Su Junqing found anything strange, she would immediately be destroyed. There was also Elder Mo Hua. He seemed to have discovered something unusual. A powerful divine sense had already enveloped them. Yun Jioga was extremely vexed. He saw that Yi Yunji had a reaction, and maybe she could turn over a new leaf. But something went wrong at this time. However, now was not the time to worry about this. As long as there was life, there was hope. He could always come back to test the waters next time. Yun Jioga quickly made a decision. He took out the black bone connection ointment and applied it on Yi Yunji's wound, sealing it tightly. As soon as the treasure map was covered, Yi Yunji's eyes immediately lost their luster. Her lifeless expression returned. Zishang placed his hand on Yi Yunji's forehead and released a corpse aura to cover the smell of the black bone connection ointment. After the two of them were done with extreme speed, they casually threw Yunji onto the big mahogany bed and dashed out of Su Junqing's cave residence. Zishang and Yun Jioga had just left the Ink Flower Peak when Su Junqing quickly returned to his cave. Coming back with him was the Ink Flower Peak's early foundation establishment disciple Bai Lan. Junior brother was robbed? Bai Lan said in a surprised voice. Bai Lan looked to be around 30. She had slender eyebrows, raised eyes, and a black mole under her eyes. She could be considered quite pretty. She was wearing a tight black muslin dress, revealing the deep valley on her chest. She didn't look too serious. She was the female disciple that Yun Jioga had teased when he first entered the sect. Su Junqing didn't reply to Bai Lan. He quickly picked Yi Yunji up from the bed and carefully examined her. He didn't find any wounds, but he found a strange corpse aura on her body. Su Junqing's face instantly became ugly. Someone must have sent high-level Yin corpses to target Yi Yunji. He never thought that he would not be able to defend against them even if he guarded day and night. Junior brother, let me take a look. Bai Lan had come under the orders of her master, Elder Mo Hua. Naturally, she didn't dare be careless and came over to take a closer look. Does senior sister recognize this corpse aura? Su Junqing quickly asked. This corpse aura is very strange. Bai Lan shook her head. She had been in the Yin Corpse sect for many years and had studied the high-level Yin corpses in the sect, but she had never seen this corpse aura before. If they were targeting my Yin corpses, naturally they wouldn't use their power on the surface. Su Junqing said in a dark voice. As far as he knew, the Yin Corpse sect had never seen the demon corpses that Si Yue had brought to the bloodthirsty sect. That's possible, but junior brother doesn't need to worry. With Master protecting you, no one will have any ideas on your Yin corpses. Bai Lan hypocritically comforted him. This new junior brother had such a good set of Yin corpses, there were many people who were jealous and envious of him. If it wasn't for Master protecting him, perhaps even his bones would have been chewed off. Speaking of this, Su Junqing's skills in bed were truly amazing. Even his master, who liked the new and hated the old, was completely won over by him. Many thanks, senior sister. Su Junqing quickly calmed himself down and revealed a grateful smile to Bai Lan. He was very clear that there were too many people who didn't like him on Inkflower Peak, so he always tried to please Bai Lan and the other favored old disciples. Junior brother doesn't need to be polite with me. Bai Lan placed her hand on Su Junqing's shoulder and slightly leaned to the side, making the valley in front of her chest even more alluring. This is how it should be. I will remember senior sister's kindness to me. Su Junqing gave a gentle and handsome smile. There's no need to remember it. Junior brother should use your actions to express it. Bai Lan's small hand slid down from his shoulder to Su Junqing's chest, gently tapping it. The corners of her eyes were filled with charm. How does senior sister want me to act? Su Junqing reached out his hand to hold down Bai Lan's small hand. He had to obtain the human-faced peach in this little secret realm, but the other disciples leading them were all very strong. If he wanted to win, he had to find an alliance. Bai Lan was the best choice. Of course I'll express it like this. Bai Lan let out a wanton laugh. After pushing Su Junqing to the ground, she impatiently pulled off his pants and began to knead him. Su Junqing didn't think that Bai Lan would be this hungry, going straight to the point. He had just been emptied by Elder Mo Hua, so he couldn't even muster up any energy. But if he didn't rise up now, he would give Bai Lan the impression that he was a soft cannon. It would be hard to win her over in the future. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.